We had clicking on shit. Echo. Okay. So I have no idea if anyone's going to be here, but let's see what happens. I have no clue. Maybe some people just keep the window open and they're going to be like, just in case there's a stream and they're listening right now and they're like, where the fuck is that voice coming from? Right? Maybe that's what's happening right now. Yeah. Anyway, so hello everybody. So I will probably explain this a couple times as we go through. But we are doing an kind of impromptu experimental stream tonight, where we are going to play Opus Magnum. Sorry, we're going to play Opus Magnum while Lily reads questions for me to answer from the monthly Patreon Q&A, and to see if this is a good compromise on doing the monthly written version. So I'm probably going to explain this a couple more times, so if you're here right at the start, then I apologize for that. Hey guys, hey Jay Silver, Jack Lockjaw, Sam Iverson, Got Led, Trillis, Aldebert de Calcare. I'm butchering everyone's names. Pig on the Moon. Pig on the Moon's here.
Pig on the Moon.
Pig on the
Hi,
Moon.
Pig on the Moon. Love you,
Vertigo.
Moon.
Hey guys. So we're going to play Opus Magnum for a little bit, and Lily's going to read me the monthly Q&A questions from Patreon. So basically, when I do the written versions, they take me about at least an hour per person, assuming that the question isn't really super simple, which they usually aren't. So we actually did some math, and with the amount of questions that I get, like, we have to edit it afterwards too. It's no wonder that I'm losing quite a lot of time to this feature, and it's either this or we kind of gut it, or just yeah. We'll see how it goes. So this is an experiment, so we'll see how it happens. And Lily will still read chat and read questions from chat, but this is primarily going to be reading questions that patrons have asked, and I'm going to try and answer them a little more in depth than I usually do on stream, but also not really that much. So I don't know how long the stream is going to go on for. There are, how many questions are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is going to get old. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. There are 31 questions. So the page, that's actually quite small for the queue, right? Mm-hmm. Like usually there's more than that. So there's 31 questions. So usually I devote an hour to each person, not to each question, to each person. So this Q&A would probably take me about 4 to 5 days to write, I think, right? Yeah. With the amount of time that I have.
That's usual for you, at least.
Yeah. With the amount of time that I have to devote to other things during the day. Like if I was to commit all the hours in one go, then I could probably get it done in like 2 days. But and that's editing afterwards. So it's taking up a lot of time. So even if that all those hours don't go to video use, like I'm stressing out doing all these things and juggling all these projects. So let's see if we can do it this way, and maybe that's better. So that's what we'll try to do while I play Opus Magnum, which is probably a really bad game to do this on because it's a puzzle game. So maybe I'll be like,
yeah, but there shouldn't be a lot of talking or things. There's
no
right?
story or anything really, anything like that. So that's what we're gonna do. But chat can still ask questions. I think that's okay.
We'll try to fit them in around the other questions.
Joe, can we be on your stream? No, you can't be on my stream. You can't be on my stream. This is a serious stream. Nova, if that is your real name. Okay, so this is Opus Magnum, which is the latest puzzle game by Zachtronics. They made Infinifactory. I did a video on that. I like their games a lot. This is a 2D version, kind of in the same vein as Space Chem, but I didn't play Space Chem all that much. Maybe I didn't even play it at all, actually, now I come to think of it. I can't remember. So let's go to, I think, no, this is not what we want to do. So there's a little bit of story, but we're not going to care about that. We're just going to do the puzzles. Maybe there's a tutorial puzzle we can show. So stabilize water. Let's go through this just so everyone knows what the puzzle is like, what the game is like. So our goal is to use claws that extend and grab onto things, and then release things once they get to a different part of where they can go, and basically manipulate orbs like that in order to create things. So if that sounds confusing, it might be a little bit. So here we have this one here, which is a glyph of bonding, which puts two orbs together and links them in a chain. And this is where the product has to go when they're done. So we need to make a stabilized water with another, we need to make a, what the fuck is this called? Elemental water and mix it with whatever this turns into, which I can't remember. I think it's just salt, right? Yeah, into neutral salt. So we need to make a salt molecule or a salt orb mixed with a water orb. And to change the water orb into a salt, we need to put on this thing, which changes it. And then when you put it into the other one, which bonds it, and then you push it onto the thing, and that's where it accepts it. So maybe it's better just to let it play. So see the orbs move it in? Like that, one smooth motion again. And that's what you have to do. That's the whole game. That's the puzzle that is here. So the thing is that this area is actually like shockingly massive. So I'm terrified of the monstrosities that it's going to ask you to build later on. I'm absolutely terrified of what's going to happen here. But that's the gist of the game. Pretty much. Who gets the timeout first? Who got timed out?
He wants to abuse his power, so he's told them to swear, and then he's gonna be a mod. But he doesn't realize that swearing's allowed. So
yeah, swearing. Who got?
I don't know.
Oh, Nova's just being a dick. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. You have mod status just so everyone knows you're the real Nova Canoe. You have no power here. What are you doing? What are you doing? Okay, so that's the gist of the game. Okay. So it gets tougher. So now we're making refined gold. So we have to put these two in here, and it levels up with each one that's put in to make the gold. So let's see what happens. Let's clear it out. And maybe as we're doing this, we should. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, Tumble Dog. Abuse of power. Okay, so let's get a first question from the Q&A, Lily, and then let's start off. So Lily's gonna read it out while I kind of fiddle with the game, and you have to read like who asked it, and then the whole thing. Okay.
Are you gonna scroll for me after when I'm done?
Yeah, I'll scroll through. Yeah.
It's Riku, right? You
I think
it's Riku.
It might be Riku or Raikou.
Riku or Raikou?
Just follow my lead and just do both, and then if you make someone's name, butcher someone's name, who cares, right?
Oh, you're still listed as the Evil Within 2 on.
Oh, am I?
Twitch.
Hold on, let me switch it. I always forget to do something, don't I?
Mm-hmm.
Every time I always forget to do something. Okay, there we go.
Riku J or Raikou J asked, "Hey man, I've only been aware of your content for the last few months, but you're already one of my favorite content creators. I went back and finished the Fallout 4 DLC just to watch the rest of your video. Anyway, the question. Do you feel like you've become part of the larger YouTube gamer community after making it to the Co-optional podcast, and has it changed anything for you?"
Not really. I don't think so. It was more, you know what, this music's distracting me. Can we turn off the music? It's really good music, but it's kind of really distracting me. I guess I could just take the headset off, because then you guys could still hear it, right? Yeah, let's take the headset off, because then you guys can still hear it. Because if I mute it, it's going to be muted for you as well. Do I feel like I'm a part of the larger YouTube community now that I've gamer YouTube community, now that I've made it on the Cautional podcast?
Yeah, and has it changed anything for you?
It hasn't changed anything for me at all. It has been very interesting because I've said this a couple times before, but I don't think anyone's going to believe me. But the Co-optional podcast is the only podcast that I've ever watched, ever. So it was interesting to go on it, if anything, just because it was just such a holy shit moment that happened. Absolutely crazy that happened. Because I remember when I first started the channel that I had this moment where I was wondering how far the channel would go, and I was wondering if, like, wouldn't it be cool if I ended up going on that podcast? Like, I actually had that moment when I first started the channel. I know it sounds crazy to think that, but I actually like wondered. Why isn't this working? Can't you isn't it supposed to be like 1 or is it doing 2? We're already getting into trouble because I'm trying to do 2 things at once. So it was really weird to go on that and that really kind of shoot for the moon kind of dream kind of happened or something like that. But in terms of things that changed, no, not really. Nothing's really changed. It's really neat that Total Biscuit has me on his auto host list on Twitch, and if I feel like there has been this. I spoke about this in a past Q&A when I spoke about how Angry Joe and Notch watched my No Man's Sky video. That it feels like there's this that you've been watching this community for your whole like internet life or late in your internet life, depending on how late you get when you got into it, and you go into this thing and there's like this hand reaching back for you to say, waving and saying hello, that you've only been a spectator and suddenly they're acknowledging you, and that's really powerful. That's really powerful. It's sort of like whenever you read a book and you read something that a character says or thinks in a book that you thought that you were the only one that ever thought that. Have you ever had that in a book where like a character says something or has some observation and you thought you were the only one that ever had that observation? It's kind of like that. It's kind of like that. And that to me was pretty amazing that happened. But in terms of my life changing or anything else like that, no, not really. Nothing has changed apart from just that experience, you know. And I think that's it, right? Nothing practical has changed, but it is really cool. Maybe something will change from that later on, and who knows? Maybe there's someone who saw me on that podcast and contacted me for some reason, and that hasn't like nothing has come of it yet or something. I don't know, but that's how it feels to me right now. Okay, so I think I need to put some more here, and I need to make him do this a couple more times. I think there should be a way to repeat it, but I don't know how to do that. So
second part of the question, would you consider collaborating with any YouTubers in the future?
No collaborations at all. No collaborations at all. Probably never. I don't think that people would even want to collab with me. I'm not a good collaborator. You don't want any of this, trust me. I would be a terrible partner in that sort of thing. I work in intense like shifts, and then I will get distracted by something and I'll go do something else and I'll go play some other game.
Kind of like a frenzy.
Yeah, and then I will like have I'll be behind schedule on a script by like I should have had like 20,000 words written yesterday and I only have 5,000 words, and then the next day I'll be 6,000 words ahead of the script. You know, like I will get behind, but then I'll get way ahead, and it kind of balances out to me usually being about on schedule, usually ahead of schedule. Usually my estimations are really bad too, and that's really bad. So I don't think that's a good idea for collaborations. Yeah, this, in case people are here, this is a Q&A stream where Lily is reading questions from the Patreon Q&A that we have every month, and I usually write the answers, but tonight she's reading me the questions, and I am answering them on stream, and we're trying to see if this will work as a new format for the Q&A. So that sort of thing. That's what we're trying, and I'm failing at Opus Magnum because I'm trying to think of the answers too much, and this is just background noise. If you find this stream boring, please do not hesitate to just leave. Do not feel pressured to stay here. I don't know why anyone would, but I will be answering questions from chat probably between like these answers. Like whoever asks a question in chat, we'll take it. But please be aware that this is just me talking for like probably 2 hours, right?
Probably by the time we get through.
Maybe even longer than that. So just, or maybe we'll have to do part 2 tomorrow or something.
Well, we'll do our best. We'll try to get through it.
We can't stay up too late. It can't be a late stream like usual. But this is an exception. Can I lower the game music by a tiny bit? Sure, I can do that. Okay, there you go. It's lowered by a tiny bit.
So there is a question from chat. What kind of music do you like?
I like almost anything that's catchy. I don't like I don't really like country music, and that's the only genre that I really don't like, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't really like. I don't
Mostly
really,
your rock. You listen to some rap, some pop, anything catchy, basically that gets stuck in your head.
I don't really like country music all that much. Sorry, Taylor. Okay, I don't need to do this. Hold on. I need to get rid of this, and then.
And hello, it's just Athena who's saying hello to us. Hey Joe, if you were not an author or a game critic, what job do you think you would have?
Oh, I have no idea. I'm limited because.
Oh, that's an author. Never mind. I was gonna say writer.
I'm limited because I have a sleep disorder. If you don't know, I've said this enough times on chat that most people probably know this. So, I have a sleep disorder, so that really limits what I can do, and it's gotten worse as I've gotten older. It used to be that I could hold down a regular job, barely, but like schedules are difficult for me. So it would have to be something I could do at home. Probably some sort of technical writing. I did some of that in the past, some technical writing, or just something like that. I don't know. I actually don't know. Joe, are you stuck on the first level? No, I'm answering like questions, and I'm barely paying attention to it because the questions are actually something I want to give some depth to. But let's see what happens. This is the first level, I think.
How much are you enjoying streaming? It seems like you like it a lot.
Yeah, I like it a ton. I really like it. This is wrong. This should be down here, and this one should be up here. Yeah, I love streaming. I really like it. I'm surprised by how much I like it.
And what are your thoughts on Super Giants games?
Why aren't you repeating? Did I take away the repeating? No, I don't want you to repeat that. I want you to repeat this one. So it won't repeat.
Thank you to Liam Copter who just subscribed.
Thank you, Liam Copter. Thank you for the subscription. No, I do want the two to repeat. What am I doing? I want this to repeat. Sorry, I'm being dumb. All right, let's see. Does that work? No, it doesn't. So I have to put them all. I have to put them all on. I have to put all of the things on. Okay, I guess that's fine. Can I copy? Is there a copy function? I haven't played this game very much. I thought there was a copy function. Reset instruction. That doesn't work. Okay. That doesn't work the way I thought it was. Or maybe I'm being dumb and it does work. It just resets to the beginning and oh, okay, so it's not that's not a do it again function.
Hold control and drag.
Hold control and drag, is that what you do? Cool. Okay. Thank you. All right, so let's see. I think I need 5, don't I? Maybe it's 4. Let's see. Okay. So was the question Super Giant games?
Yeah.
Super Giant games, I haven't played enough of them. That is that's Pyre and Transistor and Bastion, right? I haven't done that. I haven't played them very much, so I can't really talk about them. But by and large, I think they're pretty. They look well made. But when I played Bastion, I hated it, and I tried to play it multiple times, and I just can't get into it. I will play it again. Maybe I'll play it tomorrow, after Evil Within 2 is done. So we'll see. But yeah, maybe I'll play it tomorrow. Late night stream, is it this usually on the schedule? No, this is a bonus Patreon stream that we're doing. We're answering the Q&A, and we should probably get on to the next question. And we're trying a different format instead of the written version, so that's what we're doing. So sorry for the confusion, but that's if you don't want to, this might be a boring stream for you guys. It's more the game is more in the background, and this is more like a podcast thing, and I'm just gonna kind of do the game a little bit if I can see what I'm doing. But for the most part, this is probably a very terrible game to do it. But it's chill. It's in the background. It's whatever. Okay, so we'll do it.
So ask your questions. We'll try to fit them in around the patron questions. But
yeah, so maybe
if
after
we don't get to you, just keep asking them, and eventually we'll get to you. The same format as usual.
And Lily's here too, so Lily's gonna be reading. So maybe after the Patreon questions, we can answer like 3 from chat if we see them.
Well, that's a good idea. We'll do that.
So what's the next question? Who said it?
So NASA Jill asked, "You seem to really enjoy streaming. I like them a lot too. You are a great streamer, thoughtful, knowledgeable, and actually quite funny."
Oh, thank you, Nazajil. Nazajil.
It's Nazajil.
I said his name wrong. That's great of me, huh? Thank you.
Do you plan to make this a long-term thing, like streaming the games that you're playing for review without Q&A?
Yes, definitely. Yep. It's gonna be a long-term thing. It's gonna be every day, I think. Every day, and I'm surprised by how much I enjoy it. I'm really surprised by how much I enjoy it. I really, really, really enjoy streaming.
Why are you surprised? That was a question that was from chat.
Was it? Because I remember looking at other streamers in the past, and I've been into Twitch for quite a while, and I just never thought that I would be able to do it. I just never thought it was for me, really. And it's been kind of cool that it has worked that way. It's just, and I looked at streamers and I looked at how they can play the game and they can talk and interact and they put themselves out there. And maybe it's the webcam thing, because I'm not really comfortable on webcam. Maybe that put me off too, and I don't have webcam on most of my streams. So maybe it's just that part that kind of was a block. Yeah, so maybe that's made it easier. But I never really thought I could be able to do it, and I thought I'd be too embarrassed to speak publicly in front of a lot of people, because that's not typically something I'm really comfortable with. But it turns out it's okay. It's all right. But yeah, I will be playing games that I do plan to review or critique or whatever it is that you think I do on YouTube. I'm not even sure half the time, but I think it's gonna be a learning process. Sometimes I feel that chat hinders a little bit when it comes to stuff like that, because I feel a little bit of pressure to be more entertaining as I'm streaming and to not do the same thing over and over again. And I think there was kind of like it's a watershed moment. Isn't that what it's called? The credits for Automata was kind of a watershed moment where I just basically said, this is how I would play the game if I wasn't streaming. So you know what, chat, I'm sorry, fuck you, this is what's happening. Like, I am just going to slam my head against this, because this is what I would do if I was off stream. And when it's a game that I'm reviewing and I'm going to make a video on, I don't know why I keep saying reviews, because I don't do reviews, then that is what has to happen, because otherwise streaming isn't good anymore. Because I have to play the games the exact same way that I do. Why did that not work?
Yeah, otherwise it's a waste of time. Streaming, if you're not doing it productively, right? It's just taking away the channel.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, why did that not work? Is there a limit, or did I just fuck that up? Hold on, let's see. I'm still getting used to this game, by the way. I only did the tutorial off stream a little bit. Okay, so that's still not gold. Oh, did it pass gold and I'm being a dumbass and I'm making it go even further than it needs to? I assume gold would be the last one. No. It's even further than that? Okay. Holy crap. This can't be right. I'm doing this wrong. I have to be doing this wrong. Okay, what's the next question that Nazigal asked?
How's your buffer videos planned for Witcher series going? Do you have an estimate about when you can actually start the Witcher project now?
The buffer videos idea has been scrapped, and I'm going to be talking about this probably in the post that I post this on. That I'm going to be saying that it is basically a lost cause, and I'm not going to be doing it anymore. It's not working out. So I'm going to be the video game analysis submarine, and I'm going to submerge soon, and I'm going to... Why didn't that work? So it was here, so 1, 2, and then it should have let go.
Just focus on The Witcher.
Yeah,
and not be splitting your focus with other games.
Yeah, I'm just gonna focus on The Witcher. That's all I'm gonna do. Why didn't that work? It was here, and it goes here.
One of the buttons on the right side will let you see the transformation states.
Okay. Opens all grippers on an arm, dropping any held items. Why didn't that work? Why isn't that working? Do I need to do this? Why didn't that work? Hold on.
Thanks to The Dream is Over for the compliment. We're enjoying it as much as you are.
Cool, thank you very much.
The stream is excellent and on par with your videos.
Yeah, that isn't working. Why isn't this working?
We're glad you're enjoying it too.
Hold on. We'll get to the other question in a second. I'll go back to a little bit of The Witcher after this. Yeah, I don't get why that's not working. Why isn't it letting it go like it should? Drop instruction. Open all grippers on arm. Okay, what happens if I put it like way earlier? Will it work then? Is it because it's too long? Oh, it's a fucking pivot. It's a fucking pivot. That's why it's not working. Ooh, okay, that's why. Okay, I remember fucking that up so many times in the tutorial. Okay, so if anyone doesn't understand what was wrong, there is you can turn the atom itself within the grip, so you can rotate the atom, because sometimes you need to arrange them in certain ways. So that's why. So it'll work now. Okay, that's why. I'm just being dumb. Okay. So yeah, I know that some people may be disappointed that there's going to be a gap between videos when it comes to The Witcher, and then I might be able to find a way to get like one buffer video that's fairly substantial in the middle of them, but the buffer videos I'm making right now aren't working, and not only would it take me like a year to do it, I think at my current rate, it'll be a year of kind of like really short content on a bunch of indie games, and I'm gonna miss a bunch of newer games, and I think people really prefer the longer videos.
You're just prolonging the whole thing.
Why didn't that work? Why is it different now?
If you do the buffer videos, it's just taking longer than to get to Witcher.
Yeah.
When you could just focus on Witcher and get it done, and then move on. So yeah.
That's why it didn't work, because now they're out of sync.
The plan is to do a few more videos, and then in the new year you're going to start with The Witcher, right?
I think it'll be a little after that. I think it's going to be after I do Horizon Zero Dawn. So the current plan, I think, is to do Hob, then Odyssey, Mario Odyssey, then Nier Automata with maybe one short video in between Odyssey and Nier Automata, and then another video in between Automata, and I think Horizon Zero Dawn will be after that. And then after Horizon Zero Dawn, I think it's just going to be straight into just I'm going for a while. Witcher will be next, but with maybe one video in the middle, just as something of a buffer, I think. Okay, so this was stupidly inefficient. So cycles were way over here. We're right on the money for cost, and area we're a little high too. So this is the ranking. So there is a much faster way to do this, like so much faster, that most people got that I missed, probably to do with multiple hooks, I think. Multiple hooks. Can you put multiple reagent sources down? No, you can't. So they probably have multiple claws, each pulling more stuff into the glyph of projection, I'm gonna guess. But we did it, so hey, that's good enough for me. We did it. So
the repeat instruction bottom right is really useful.
This one, the repeat instruction.
Yeah.
Okay, I think I tried to make that work earlier. Let's try and see if we can do it now. Let's see if we can try and do it now. And I think that's it for The Witcher, right?
I think so.
I think that's enough.
So you're looking at like spring of next year.
So far these answers have been kind of fragmented when I'm going to the game. So maybe in the future, maybe we should just sit here and have nothing going on in the background, and we should just talk. Maybe we can do it that way, right? I don't know. Maybe.
It's kind of a learning thing right now. I don't know. Again, I don't know if they're going to be okay with. They have to listen to the whole thing to get to their question.
Yeah,
and
maybe.
They can't just scroll down. But we can't keep doing it the way it's been going.
Yeah.
So it's kind of this, or it changes a lot, right? So.
Yeah, but maybe we could fix it. Maybe I could go in and put timestamps when your question is, where your answer is. Yeah, maybe it'd be better to do it that way. You could do a less cerebral game in the background. Yeah, probably. Joe, it's not a problem if you switch games or you stop playing to answer the questions. Yeah, that might be better. What's a pretty game that we could just have it on in the background? Maybe we should do oxygen not included. Maybe that would be better. We just have that. Nah, that's kind of a thinking game at the same time.
Is there anything that doesn't require much thinking?
Gungeon doesn't require that much. I'm pretty.
And you've played it before, so you're more familiar with
it. I'm fairly decent at Gungeon. But let's do the next. Let's do questions.
We're gonna take a few from chat.
Let's do a couple questions from chat, and then we'll move on to the next one. Maybe we should just focus on the questions. Cookie clicker. Stardew Valley. Stardew Valley is a very mentally taxing game. What are you talking about? Drive
Especially
around GTA.
Mines.
Edith Finch.
I don't want to get slimed.
Let's see. Let me see what kind of games we could put on. Let's see. Let me just alt tab out while Lily grabs a question from chat. So after every single time that we finish a question from Patreon, a question set from Patreon, we'll take a couple questions from chat. Okay, what do I have installed? Does that matter? I could probably download a game real quick, right? Cuphead.
Earlier, you said your videos have value. What do you think is uniquely valuable about your style and content? And Mikey says Reciteer.
Reciteer is a really casual game. He wants me to play Reciteer so much. I think it needs to be something I'm familiar.
Motives.
I think it needs to be something I'm familiar with, Mikey. I believe you, but I think it needs to be something that I already know instead of something new. Because I'm gonna be reading, I'm gonna be like, okay, what's this game about? You know, that sort of thing. I think it needs to be something I already know. I might play that tomorrow though. So yeah, in the morning stream, I said that I don't think that I'm an expert of anything. Someone made that comment, and then I said I do think that my videos have value, but I don't think that they are that they're expert opinions or anything. I think that my videos have value because I'm one of this is gonna sound so arrogant, but I don't mean it in an arrogant way. It's just the way that it is. I am one of very few people that actually have an evidence-based approach to looking at games when it comes to gameplay. I don't think that I'm the best at it, and I think that in the years to come, like, unless I get a lot better, which I hope I do, people are going to look back at my work right now and they're going to be like, okay, well, that was really basic compared to where the talk of video games is today. Like, so basically I think that my work is good for its time. Let's put it that way. That the language of video games hasn't developed enough. Some people argue over definitions of things still. So we're in this very early stage. So it would only be right that right now that it has value to push some things forward at least a little bit. But I don't think that my videos are going to be timeless. I think that that maybe there will be for many years, but I don't think that they're going to be timeless. I think there's going to be much better ways to look at games sometime in the future, and hopefully I build up to that and I help make that a reality. You know, like I already look back at some of my first videos and I think, okay, that's not very good anymore. You know, or I could have done a lot better if I did that today. So that's what I hope. So I do think that they have value. It's just that I don't want to claim that I'm an expert of anything, and that's not being fake humble. It's just the way it is as far as I'm concerned. It's just I don't feel like I'm an expert of anything. And I think that's it. Is there another question from chat?
Do you have any guilty pleasure games?
The clicker games. Yeah, incremental games. I was pretty into Cookie Clicker and Clicker Heroes for a while. Mikey wants me to play the Undefeated Spider, I think it's called, and I'm kind of leery of trying an incremental game because I get really addicted to them. And for a long time, World of Warcraft was a big guilty pleasure of mine. Definitely, World of Warcraft was probably the guiltiest pleasure I've ever had. Really, don't you think? Like I used to play that for so long.
Oh yeah, totally.
Guild leading and raid leading and
that took a big chunk of your time.
And PvP, everything, like max level of pretty much every class. I did.
But you made friends through it too, and then you would hang out with them. So.
I did some exploits, half exploits to get the max level to every class. Like nothing bannable, but still, like definitely not intended. But there was one night where they had this bug where pet battles, because they have a Pokemon battle system in WoW, that they gave like XP that was through the roof for some reason, and they said they were gonna hotfix it in the morning. So I just like realized that I could level all these characters up the long way, or I could just take that night and just level them all up through that, and then I would have them all ahead of time, and that's all I did. You know, like so that is a guilty pleasure. Definitely World of Warcraft. You said that your videos are more critiques than reviews, right? Yep, definitely more critiques than reviews. Yep, 100%.
Any chance of revisiting some old games you looked at, like Dark Souls?
Probably, but I don't think anytime soon. I think maybe that would be a good idea to go through when Dark Souls 4 is announced, if Dark Souls 4 is announced. So, yeah. This is a Patreon question stream. Yeah, you can still ask questions. You can definitely still do that, but we're going through the Patreon Q&A and we're doing it. And after we finish asking someone a set of questions on the Patreon Q&A, we're going to take questions from chat. I think we can take the next question because it's really short, and then we'll move back to chat questions for a bit.
So. I think we have to, or we're going to be here all night.
This is a very short answer, unfortunately. I can see it already, but go ahead, Lily.
Where am I? Oh, there. Sorry, I'm looking at chat still. Connor E. asked, have you played Westerado? If you have, what did you think? If not, I think you'd enjoy it a lot.
I have not played Westerado. I've never even heard of it. I can look it up right now and tell you a little bit of what I think, but I'm not going to be able to talk too much about it. Westerado. Westerado double-barreled on Steam.
Looks like Stardew.
Yeah, it's kind of a Stardew perspective. I don't think it's going to be anything like Stardew.
No,
Yeah.
it looks like it, though.
I've never heard of this game. I've never played it, sorry, but it looks like it might be fun. So I can't really comment on it. Sorry. What else have they made? Super puzzle platformer, Volgar the Viking. Is this right? Volgar the Viking looked cool. No, I've never seen this game. So I'm sorry, Connor. I can't really talk much about it, but it does look kind of neat.
No, Handboy, we just started. We're not even that far in, so we haven't gotten to yours yet. I don't recognize that name.
Okay, so
we're only like 2 people in.
Let's take a question from chat and then we'll move on to the next one.
A question. What made you decide to start a YouTube channel in the first place?
Lots of things. I've always been heavy into video games, and when I was younger I wanted to be a video game reviewer. That's all I wanted to be, and that was shot down heavily by my parents, and they pushed me into something else instead, and they made me feel like I was a complete idiot for wanting to do that, so I just kind of forgot about it. I still played a lot of games, and so then I saw other people doing video game reviews and stuff like that on YouTube. That was really good content, and I thought, okay, I would like to do that. And it took me a while to take the plunge, and it helped that I thought that I could link it to some of the books that I've written. The books I've written are very commercial. They're very genre fiction. Like, they're not high art. They were written very quickly. They're written to appeal to a specific audience that like really digestible, easy to read, like action kind of books. They get a lot better as they go along, but early on they're pretty like just kind of bland, that sort of thing. And we thought that we could link it and help promote the books that way a little bit, and then it turned.
Because the agents kept saying they wanted social media presence, so you made a social media presence.
I would send queries to agents, and they'd be like, okay, we like the amount of sales we got, we like the book, we like everything about it, but how are you going to promote this? And then I would say, well, isn't that your job? And they would say no. so there was like that, and then the channel turned into its own thing. But oddly enough, now that I have the social media presence, no agent responds to me. I guess maybe the title that I give them, I give them the title, hey, look, I have this book, and I have this big of an audience. I think maybe it's almost unbelievable, maybe, that I have no idea. Like they say, I don't get answers. So maybe they're like, okay, this must be like a con or something. I don't understand. It's weird.
I really don't understand it either. You got a cheer.
Ricket Racket cheered 250 bits. Friendly reminder that the Vanu sovereignty was the superior faction in original Planet Side. If your max units couldn't jet boost up the top of the towers, then you're on the wrong team. Also cool to see you on Soleil. Hey, I was Vanu in Planet Side, so I'm with you there. Yeah, we had the coolest looking maxes, although I think the what were the team? It was the Terran. What was the other team? It wasn't NCR, was it? I can't remember what the other team was. NRC, I can't remember what the blue team was. They seemed to have the most powerful ones, but the Vanu maxes were the coolest ones with the jetpack. And I like the Lasher weapon. The NC, that's it. I like the Lasher weapon on the Vanu as well. That was pretty cool. New Conglomerate, that was it.
Okay, we just missed a question. It was basically, do you approach games differently? Does your experience or enjoyment vary if you're going into it to do a critique versus if you're just playing it for fun?
Kind of, but lately it's been hard to turn off. So whenever I play a game just for myself, I find myself still thinking about it just in case I want to do a video on it. That's what kind of happened with when I played a little bit of Destiny 2 with my friend when it came out on PC. I think we played it for like an hour this week because that's all the time I had. Sorry, man. But yeah, that was that's what happened. Yeah, it wasn't. It's something I couldn't turn off, unfortunately. I couldn't turn it off.
What's your writing process like?
Let's go back to Patreon after that. So after this one. So what's my writing process like?
Well, this is a 2-part question. What's your writing process like, and how do you choose which games to analyze?
Sorry if the question has been answered already. No, it's okay. So I. Okay. Let's start with how it was. Can you guys see the game, by the way? You can't see the game, can you? Because it's different. Okay, so let's go back a little bit to a little before what you're asking, because otherwise it's not going to make sense. Let's see, capture full window. There we go. Now you guys should see it.
And thanks to Jask for the bits.
Bits. So when I play the game, the writing process is already beginning because I will be taking notes as I play the game, and as I'm taking notes, that becomes kind of the script, and I'm thinking about a lot of things as I'm playing it. And then the script writing process becomes something that I need to hook myself into. So when I start writing, it's a blank page with my bunch of notes. Usually I take notes on pen and paper, and I will put all of the notes at the end into a Word file on the computer, and that becomes the file that I write the script in. So
switch your Twitch game.
Yeah, switch my Twitch game, and then that will become like a connect the dots kind of thing. Let me just say Q&A plus Patreon questions instead of that. That will become the framework of the why aren't you going away? There we go. That will become the framework of the script. All the notes that I make, and those are the points that I'm going to be making. So, but first of all, I need to hook myself into it. I have a broad idea of what I'm going to say, but I need to have a strong opening line that gets me interested, as well as what I think the viewer will be interested too. It's something I need to feel. I need to feel like, okay, I'm into it now. And I need to have like something that flows well at the beginning. From then I very prioritize flow between all the points that I have that I made notes of, and I go through them kind of like one of those old like connect the dots pictures. You know what I'm talking about? You know, when you get the connect the dot pictures, and it's kind of like that. It's just connect the dots between all different points. But I will be very, very willing to just move on to a completely different point if I organically reach it as I'm writing about what I'm currently writing about. So if I'm making a video on Mario Odyssey and I am talking about how Mario controls, and I'm talking about how he jumps and everything, but then all of a sudden I realize that there's something linked to moons in the game that are to do with that, then I will switch to the moons right away. I will switch topics while the opening is there, and then I will just as quickly move back to movement after talking about some of the moons. So it's that's why some people say to me, and enough people have said this to me that I think that this is actually a thing, that they watch my videos and they thought it was only 20 minutes, and then when they're finished, it turns out they've watched for an hour. Is because there's this flow from one to the next that you don't even realize that we're moving on to another topic. And even when I watch the videos back myself, I look at it and it's kind of like, oh, we're already 15 minutes into this, that sort of thing. And what was the second half of that question? Do you remember?
I think, how do you pick which games to review? Yeah.
Oh, I pick games based on some criteria, which is that, do I think I'll have enough to say? Will I enjoy it? And will I think that people want to hear something about it? Those are the three main ones. And sometimes I'm wrong. Sometimes people don't want to hear about it. Sometimes I don't have enough to say, and sometimes I don't enjoy it. But that's the kind of criteria that I go for.
Donut Sandwich, these are the monthly Q&As that he does in written form. We're trying to do them on stream to kind of find a better way of doing them, because they're taking up a lot of time. And we thought this might be better, but we're taking questions from chat kind of around them. So if you do have questions that you want to ask, you can ask them, and just keep asking and we'll get to them eventually.
Maybe we should have taken questions, but I guess
Yeah, but we want to keep it a little interesting for them.
Yeah,
too.
but I feel like maybe the Patreon questions are kind of being overshadowed by the chat questions, because sometimes the chat questions get longer answers than the Patreon questions. But I guess the Patreon questions have an advantage in that the Patreon questions are guaranteed to get answered.
Definitely.
So I think maybe that's
and you
that's
only
okay.
have so much to say if you have something to talk about anyway, right?
Yeah,
If you don't
so
have anything to say about it, then you don't have anything to say about it.
Maybe that's okay. All right, you're squeamish and you're a quick learner. You don't have any strength, but that's probably okay for now.
Okay, let's go back to Patreon.
Okay.
Randy G asked, "Hello there, been following you on YouTube for a while now, since your Bloodborne critiques, and enjoy how you dissect games in your videos. My question may be a bit basic, but I wonder what's your method for dissecting a game where the narrative is what the game showcases and is remembered for, but the gameplay is considered less than stellar and there's quite a bit of it. Say anything from the early Silent Hill series, for instance."
Okay. So these are games that have some gameplay. So we're not talking about games like What Remains of Edith Finch. They do have some gameplay. They're not all just just nothing. Okay.
But the narrative is more.
But
more so than the gameplay.
The narrative is the focus. Okay. So I would say that I think this is going to be a little contentious for some people, but I would say that maybe even the Metal Gear Solid series might qualify for that, especially when story is taking so much of a focus, and if you don't like the stealth gameplay, that might be something. I'm pretty sure that we're going to get a bunch of people fucking hating me in chat right now, but yeah. And IonX56 just subscribed with Twitch Prime. Thank you very much, IonX.
It's Ixon.
Is it Ixon?
Or Ixon.
Ixon? Maybe
Yeah.
it's Ixon. Sorry.
You mixed up the letters.
I think it's
something totally different.
It's gonna turn into a tradition where I just butcher everyone's names, right? Like that's the tradition that we're going for here. I think that's what we're gonna do. Yeah, I'm really sorry. I think
I was right. Thank you.
I think we want to put the toilets here. I think the toilets are what we want to make first, so I shouldn't have canceled that there. All right, so let's just do that. Okay. I think if you are going to have gameplay in your game that is going to take up a lot of your time, then you need to make it worth something. So I would say that the most recent one where the gameplay isn't that great, but the story is the focus that we played on the channel, like on the Twitch channel, was Nier Automata. So is the gameplay really all that bad? Not really. It's not awful, but there is enough of it that because it's not good, it's not all that great. So that becomes kind of a problem, and I think it's not really fair to just ignore it completely. You can't just ignore the gameplay and just give it a pass because it's story focused. So, but you do have to understand, and I mean when I say you do have to understand, I mean myself. I need to understand when I'm judging a game that that's a decision that the developers made, and it is okay to focus on the story since they focus on developing the story, and it should still be pointed out as a flaw that the gameplay isn't all that stellar and it might be a waste of time, but you should still give the story as much attention that the developers did, because that's what they wanted you to focus on. And I would say the same thing, you can say the same thing for games that focus on gameplay and don't have a story, is that if the story is constantly interrupting the gameplay, then you need to point that out, that that's a flaw. But if it's just like a little cutscene here and then they don't care about the story that much, then it's okay, right? Like, it's all right. But I think there was another part of that question, right? Yeah, okay, so about it's remembered for the story, but the gameplay is considered less than stellar, and there's quite a bit of it. So that can definitely drag something down heavily, and it's definitely not ideal. It's sort of like, this is a really tough question when you start to have to talk about what is a game really. So does a game have to have really complicated gameplay systems? And that gets into the question I think we had today on stream, which was, is Edith Finch a game? And my answer to that is, who cares? Does it really matter if Edith Finch is a game or not? Does the fact that do we even really have to have this debate? But going back and looking at games that are so story focused, it's like you're not even remembering them as a game. Like, do I remember Chrono Trigger as a game, or do I remember Chrono Trigger as a story? And I think I remember Chrono Trigger as a story. Do I remember Final Fantasy VI as a game or a story? I think I remember it as a story, and so on and so forth. Do I remember Metal Gear Solid as a game or a story? I remember it as a story. But do I remember Super Mario Galaxy as a game or a story? I remember that as a game. So I think that's sort of showing that games can be focused on story and still be worthwhile. But I think some people, maybe even in chat right now, are saying that, well, then maybe it's not a game, even though it has gameplay. Maybe it failed as a game and it shouldn't even be considered as a game. But I think that may be too limiting. And I think this is where maybe the format is a little lacking, because I think that if I could sit here and think about this for a little bit, that I could give a better answer. But if I'm sitting here and thinking about it for a little bit, then I'm spending so much time on the Q&A, right?
Well, that's what I'm saying. You don't have time anymore.
Yeah, I don't really have time to sit here and think, because this would be the kind of question that I would probably sit here and think about for 20 minutes, and then
you get a page-long answer.
and then write about 3,000 words in response to. So maybe that's part of the point of doing it this way. So I hope that was coherent. Do you think it was coherent?
I think it was mostly.
I think it was coherent.
I think though that like you have games like Edith Finch that move along. There's a certain pace to them, right? That even though there isn't actual gameplay, it still kind of prompts you along throughout the story. But if you have less than stellar gameplay and another type of game where it's not as story based, then wouldn't it kind of slow everything down and kind of bog the story down too? Where you're not really moving forward then with the game, you're just kind of stumbling through it.
Yeah.
So
I think that the idea of calling everything that's for sale on Steam having a more blanket description of just entertainment software might be better. Instead of having to go through this, like, is it a game, is it not a game, song and dance every single time that a game like that comes out that people disagree with. But I'm not sure if that is right or not. I don't know if that's the right approach. Sometimes I think it is. Sometimes I definitely think it is. But we'll have to see. I hope that made sense. I think it did. I think so. I think that made sense.
Followed it, but I know you. So.
Okay, so let's take some questions from chat. Does anyone want me to answer a question in chat, and then we'll go on to the next patron question. Okay, and right now these are the toilets, and there is bacteria in this game, and if you don't wash your hands after you go to the toilet, you will spread bacteria all over the place, and your duplicants, these little dudes, will get sick. So that's what we're trying to avoid happening right now.
How long have you played this game? A lot of people I watched gave up on this after the 5-hour mark.
I've played this game I can tell you right now, I've played this game. Now, keep in mind that I started playing this game in, like, super secret early access, right? Super secret early access in what?
All the questions are coming. In quick answer.
In February, okay? I started playing this in February of this year or March of this year. I can't remember. Like the second baby just arrived, and I needed a game to play in the background while I like held the baby in my lap and fed him. So please understand that this has been a long time, okay? That I've been playing this game. I've played this game for 137 hours. But it is a game that you just keep on in the background and just go for a while, right? And while feeding the baby and everything. That's what Steam tells me. 137 hours.
How will Odyssey Video be impacted by Nintendo creators?
It will be impacted definitely, but who gives a shit? Right? Who gives a shit? Like it's whatever. Nintendo wants to fuck around, then okay, Nintendo can fuck around. I don't care. Like it's fine.
You're saying Twitch still isn't updated.
Twitch has, yeah, it's updated. I changed it. Yeah, it still shows Opus Magnum, but I did change it. I'll change it again.
That's weird. I saw you change
it.
Yeah,
okay. Oxygen not included. Okay, and let's hit enter.
Yeah,
okay.
I think this stream is going to last longer than we expect. We might not be able to get through all of them. We might have to do it as a two-parter.
It might have to be a two-parter. Okay, let's take 2 more questions from chat, and then we'll move on to the
plan on doing
questions.
multi-game mechanics or genre critiques that aren't multiple games in the same series?
Multi-game mechanics or genre critiques that aren't multiple games in the same series? I don't fully understand the question. Sorry, Jack Lockjaw. Do I multi-game mechanics, like videos about like one kind of a couple of things spread across all different games? Then okay, I think I understand what you mean. Yes and no. I can't really talk about that right now, but not anytime really soon, and not on the main channel. I can't really talk about that right now, but yeah, I have some plans for that. Yep. Sorry, I have to be a little cryptic, but I can't talk about that right now. Sorry.
What games do you plan on streaming? I know you've probably said it a lot, and I know you want to let viewers decide.
We have a list somewhere. I think Mikey made a Google Doc list that we'll share eventually as games to do, but mostly we'll be trying to hit some of the newer games to come out, because that's what I'll probably enjoy doing the most. Okay, let's hit them on red alert and deconstruct that and that. Okay, so now this little thing here is a hatch, and he is going to be able to eat all the poo that these guys poo out. So that's important. Sorry. So probably newer games. What happened?
No, keep going. Just
okay,
finish.
so probably newer games and games that I've always wanted to play that I haven't had time to. I want to play the Wolfenstein games. I want to play Shadow of Mordor and the new one. Like those are games that I missed out on. So basically, it's a way for me to catch up on games that I've missed, and also to play games that are coming out that I don't have time to play because I'm too busy making a video, and I can't justify the time on something if I'm not making a video on it, which sounds like so weird, but that's how it is right now. Is that if I'm not making a video on it, I can't really justify the time, unfortunately. Aurelka
Aurelka13 is asking about the stream time. Normally he streams every day, 11 a.m. to 3 or 4, or sometimes a little bit later. But there's this monthly Q&A that he normally does in written form, and we're trying out something new with him reading them in Twitch chat, so that to see if it's faster than when he writes them out. So we're doing a nightly stream just for that. We normally aren't here at this time.
Yeah, so Lily can be here and ask the questions.
Normally I'm with the kids during the day, so I can't read the questions. So
it's an experiment. I still might have to do the written version after this, or next time we do this, maybe I'll just have a game, just some sort of funky visual on in the background, and we'll be under like social IRL thing under Twitch. But this is going okay. This doesn't take up too much of my mental capacity, I guess. So I think we're going to be okay here.
okay, switch me the question.
Yeah.
Patreon. We'll do a Patreon question, then we'll come back to you guys. Holden R asked, "How did you enjoy being on the Co-optional podcast?"
Someone asked a similar question up above in the Q&A, and that happens sometimes that people don't see the previous question. That's fine. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I was going to. I was really nervous, like really nervous, and not just because of being on camera. I was really nervous because there's so many people, and like that's the biggest video game podcast that there is, right? Like that is there a bigger one? Like it's if there is, it's one of the biggest ones. So I was pretty nervous about that, and I felt like, you know, that's why I did so much prep and why we're streaming right now, because I did so much prep that we streamed so much that I kind of just fell in love with streaming. So that's why you're all here right now, because of why are we coughing at the same time?
When you started, I started to feel like I had to too.
Because I wanted practice talking and speaking. So that's how nervous I was. So it worked out. I think, but I ended up really enjoying it. I felt I was happy that I did it. I don't think I looked the best that I possibly could have looked. I didn't have very good lighting. I wasn't sitting very well. The camera wasn't pointing at me very well.
You looked beautiful, darling.
But yeah, it was okay. It went all right. But yeah, I enjoyed speaking with them, and it was really surreal speaking with them, and just not even on the podcast, just talking to those guys, because I watch that show, you know, like that, yeah, that's something that I watched before. So it's like a lot I've watched that show. So that was interesting for me. Yeah, I enjoyed it a lot. Yeah, very much.
Would you consider doing a best games of 2017 feature towards the end of the year?
This is still Holden R,
yes.
Right? Yep. I would consider it, but I don't know if it would be on the main channel or maybe it would be on the second channel. I think that maybe some people would. We can ask chat, right? This is the advantage. I can ask chat right now. Would you like it that every year on December 28th ish I did a what were my favorite games and what were my least favorite games of the year? Like, would you guys like that? Or is that, you know, like, it's not going to take me very long to make. That's an easy video. Or would you think, you know, that content is too easy for you to make, Joe? We don't want easy content from you. Yeah, please don't. Please don't. I'm getting one please don't, and everyone else saying yeah. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I'm not going to promise anything. Maybe that would be good or not, but I don't know. We'll see.
Majority says yes.
Majority says yes. Cool.
Donut Sandwich, if you missed the Q&A questions, you can still ask in chat, and we'll try to answer it. You don't have to wait for the Q&A. We do a Q&A every day anyway. Yeah,
that's part of why it's not something that we should probably keep going with when it comes to Patreon, right? Like, it's like we're already doing a Q&A.
Every day it's Q&A.
It's really...
It's just not written Q&A.
Yeah, it's just kind of cheapening the whole feature, right? So, please don't get buried, Hatch. Please don't get buried. Please don't get buried. Thank God. Okay.
Okay, that's it for Holden. Let's do a few from chat. Are you okay with backseating in all games? I don't want to join in a stream and assume you are always okay with it because I don't want to accidentally ruin your game experience.
It will probably be said on the game window whether or not the game is for video or not, and that is not okay. That is not okay at all when it's for a video. So it'll probably be said somewhere if that's the case. So you don't have to worry too much about that. But backseating is getting this is weird. It's showing me that I was completely wrong. I remember I was watching a stream one day, and some guy got really mad about backseating, and I was like, dude, you're streaming on Twitch. Like it's your job to get backseated. You know what I mean? Like that's what it's all about. And now that I'm doing it, it's showing that I was completely wrong, because sometimes it does kind of get on my nerves. Like not a lot, but sometimes it's like people are like, you know, you're not playing the game like I played the game, so I like, come on, man. And it's like, well, this is how I play the games, you know? Like this is how I do it. I'm sorry, but like that's how I play, you know? Like, and it gets a little annoying. But mostly because I think maybe I'm letting someone down somehow. I know that sounds stupid, but that's kind of how I feel, I guess. But yeah, but yeah, when it comes to backseating, for games and you're worried, like it'll probably say in the title, like, this is for a video, no backseating, please, which will probably like make people backseat even more, don't you think? But
maybe. He'll finish Evil Within 2 tomorrow. Esports, he doesn't play. Do you enjoy platinum games? If so, which ones are your favorite and why?
Okay, so this is the last question before we go to the next.
Yeah, so this one was asked before a couple times, and they're trying to get this one answered. So
okay,
answer
so
this one.
How do you feel about platinum games? Right,
yes.
that was it. I haven't really played many platinum games, much of anything really. I recently tried to play Bayonetta is a platinum game, right? What are the platinum games? That is definitely a platinum game. Hold on, let's look it up. Platinum games. We're gonna get games that, okay, so Wikipedia, platinum games. Okay, so let me go through this. I haven't played hardly any of them. Don't know why. Mad World, Infinite Space, Bayonetta, Vanquish, Anarchy Reigns, Metal Gear Rising, Revengeance, Wonderful 101, Bayonetta 2, Legend of Korra, Transformers Devastation, Star Fox Zero, Star Fox Guard, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutants in Manhattan, good for you, Platinum Games, Nier Automata, Grand Blue Fantasy, Project Relink, Lost Order, and Scalebound, which is cancelled. The only one of these that I've properly played is Nier Automata. I have played a little bit of Bayonetta, but I haven't played the other ones. I have played some Spectacle Fighters. I have played, like, Devil May Cry 1 through 4. I played God of War, I think about maybe halfway through. What I played of Bayonetta felt great, and I enjoyed it a lot, and Vanquish looks like my shit, so I will play it eventually. I'll probably play these games on stream, and you can laugh at how awful I am as I learn them. I think that's what's gonna happen. Yeah, but I haven't really played them, sorry.
Sorry it took so long to get to your question. We missed it a couple times. We appreciate your patience. Can you switch the question for Patreon?
Sure, sorry. Okay, wow, that's a long one.
Noyan asked, hey again, Joseph. I don't know if you've seen Mr. Beatum's excellent video on New Vegas and Shandification. And there's a website there, or a link if you haven't.
I know the video, yep.
Where he talks about how the world of the game feels real because the NPCs feel like they have lives outside of your interaction with the world. He frames it as, what do they eat? They have crops, they have jobs, they have personal things going on. Towns are constructed near natural resources, etc. As such, the world building is part of the story, it's all integral. The world isn't nonsensical. So given that preamble, I'm wondering if this is a factor that you notice and care about when analyzing games.
Yeah, I've seen that video. I even quoted it in, or referenced it in my video on Fallout 4, I think 1 year later. I don't think I brought it up in the first Fallout 4 video, but I definitely brought it up in the Fallout 4 1 year later. Mr. Beatung is one of my favorite, definitely one of my favorite YouTubers when it comes to video game content. Unfortunately, he barely ever makes videos, so we don't get a lot from him. But yeah, when we do, it's usually pretty good. There's only been one video of his that I was sort of like, what? And the rest have been really great. Why are you so slow? Is it because you're sick? You have hypothermia. Okay. So we need to get a med bed for you. Okay, so yeah, very good video. I think about that sort of thing a lot. It's a question that I think a lot of people have had with video games, even if they don't realize that they've had it, because people, I think, inherently want things to make sense, and even if they're not really thinking about it consciously, they still do want things to make sense. And it might have just occurred to them a little bit when they get to like Rivet City in Fallout 3, like, wait, where are they getting their food from? Or when they get to Megaton, they'll be like, wait, why are they here again? Like, they might think that, and then they just get distracted and they don't think about it again. And then they'll watch a video like that and they'll be like, oh yeah, that is a good point. Other times they'll say, well, that's just nitpicky, who gives a shit? But I think it is somewhat important. as for games that I think have done it well, and that's the second question. Let's combine these questions. So the second question is, what are some games you think do such a thing particularly well if you do care? So the first question is, if this is a factor that you notice and care about when analyzing games, and what are some games that you think do such a thing particularly well if you do care? So yeah, I do care, I do notice, and I think I notice more after seeing that video, funnily enough, or maybe that makes a lot of sense. I definitely think about it more after seeing that video, and I don't think it is vital, but I think it can, if you can do it and it doesn't cost much to do it, then I think you should do it. And if you're not going to do it, then maybe that you're not going to care about that sort of stuff. Maybe there's a way that you can explain it that makes it okay. So sort of how like the really funky level transitions in Evil Within 2 are explained because of the setting of that game, that you're not in reality. So that sort of thing like that can make it work. And it's tied to immersion for a lot of people. And immersion means a lot of different things. So immersion can mean that everything makes sense and is reasonable and put together the right way. Immersion can also mean that you are immersed in a way that you don't realize that time is passing. So when you're reading a book or watching a movie, you can be immersed not in the way that you think that what's happening could actually happen or is really accurate. It will be that you're immersed because you're just so engrossed that you don't realize that the time is passing. And I think everyone has experienced this at least once with a book, that you are reading a book and you turn some pages and you don't realize that some of the pages have turned. Do you get that, Lily? Yeah. So like you don't even remember flipping the page. You're like, wait, what? I'm on this page now. When did that happen? That sort of thing. I think that is a level of immersion that some people are talking about when it comes to video games, and that other people are talking about something completely different. And it's a shame that they mean that there's the same word with two different meanings. As for what games I think do this well, I think Soma did a fairly good job of making this feel like an actual place that's down there and answer a lot of those questions. The only question I think wasn't answered in a satisfying way in that game was something to do with the rocket launch facility that they have. Like why was this underwater? But maybe that was said somewhere in the game and I just missed it. So there's that. But with everything else, like how do they get supplies? Why are they down here? How does this all work together? You know, that those sort of questions were really thought of. Obviously, New Vegas does it well because, excuse me, sorry, I hit my keyboard there. Obviously, New Vegas does it well because it was Mr. Beaton talked about that in the video. It's worth noting that Fallout 4 does do it better than Fallout 3, and that Bethesda deserves some credit for doing that right. I think Skyrim did it fairly well when it came to things like that. I think they also learned their lesson for Skyrim, and I think Oblivion did it fairly well too, even though that was before Fallout 3. I think they kind of lost their world building a little bit, and the world building is stronger in the Elder Scrolls games compared to the Fallout ones that Bethesda have made. But this is me talking like off my head right now. I'm not going through the games and doing a measured response to them. So maybe I'm wrong and I'm just remembering poorly, but that's how it appears to me at the moment. There was another game, because I read some of these questions before just to start thinking about them before we started. There was another game that I had, and now I can't remember it. I think it was a game that I played recently. Like I think this is gonna trigger like a meme wave, but like would Dark Souls count for that, in the way that the world in Dark Souls 1 is put together in a kind of to scale? Like I think maybe they may cheat a little bit, but it's put together almost exactly how it should be, and I think that would count for this sort of thing. I think that would count, that it is a different level of caring about things like that. It's a stretch of the concept, but I think that would probably count. I think so. There's a game that I'm gonna remember like 5 minutes from now, and I'm gonna swear. I'm gonna swear because it's right there.
Or as soon as we finish the stream.
Yeah, probably.
You'll wake me at 3 in the morning going shit.
I think Breath of the Wild did that too, didn't it? Didn't all the people that live in Breath of the Wild, like Breath of the Wild has a massive plot hole in that it doesn't feel like a post-apocalyptic world at all, and it doesn't feel like there's anything wrong, but they do care about, hey, you know, where's food coming from in all these places? You know, how are these places surviving? So they do care about that. Baldur's Gate 2 had a little bit. The cities in that game actually felt like cities, so they had that too. I hear Witcher 3 does it well as well. Also, I shouldn't say well as well. They do it well also, and I'm still not thinking. I still can't think of the one the example that I wanted. God damn it. So I think maybe we're gonna have to let it go. I'm scrolling through my games list, just desperately seeing if I can find it. I have Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance. What the hell? To go back to the platinum question, I have that. I didn't know that. Does anyone in chat have let's cheat and use chat. Does anyone in chat have an example of that done well? Let's cheat. Rules of Nature, 100-Bit Cheer by Ricket Racket. Thank you very much. Does oxygen not include the issue of not enough water? Is that have been fixed? Yeah, it's been fixed. There's water geysers now that give you unlimited water. Hollow Knight, maybe Hollow Knight is somewhat of the point. Yeah, Hollow Knight a little bit. Yeah, I can see that. But that's like the world put together well, and and there's attention paid to detail. Yeah, yep.
The question is basically, are what games are realistic and do it well?
Yeah, NPCs that feel like they have lives outside of your interaction with the world. Do they have how do they get food? How are they surviving? Things like that. You know. Stardew. Prey's a good one. Yep. Prey 2017. Yep, that's a good one. Yep. That how do they get around? What's their jobs? That sort of thing. Yeah, I think that would be a good one. Yeah, too. Yep. Okay, cool. I think maybe that was the one I was thinking of. Maybe not. Maybe I'm just cheating now. I think I'm cheating. Oh. Dishonored was it, because I feel like I remember it now. I feel like when I played Dishonored, and again, this is off the top of my head, I haven't played that for years. Dishonored has a city that feels like a city, and the world building seems to like how do they get this resource? Okay, well, it's from whale oil or whatever it was. It makes sense. So I think Dishonored is a qualifier for that at least, or at least to mention. It's if it's not one on the list, it's an honorable mention, I think. Okay, so let's take 3 questions from chat, and then we'll continue with the Patreon Q&A.
That was a good answer, by the way. That was more in depth.
Was it?
Yeah.
I think it was a little scatterbrained there, but hey.
It was more substantial, though.
That's what it's all about.
Have you tried the new Hollow Knight content?
No, I haven't. I haven't tried the new Hollow Knight content, sorry.
Yo, how does a brother get Patreon Discord colors? Or color?
There's a bot that does it. If you don't have it automatically, then you are using a different account that you use for Discord, and you either need to change or you need to message me direct message me with your email address that you used for Patreon, and I will grant you the role. But it might get taken away from you later if the bot decides to. So you're gonna have to just risk it, I guess, and let me know. So yeah, that's how you get it. But you should have gotten it automatically, so you must have used a different account. Sometimes it bugs though, so it is a bot. You know, it's stupid.
And final one for now. Any plans to do a panel at Fan Expo or anything like that?
No plans. I don't think that'll happen for a long time because of the kids, right? Like
They're too young.
Yeah, and public speaking in person isn't something that I think I would do particularly well. I'm warming up to the idea a little bit of trying it just to get out of my comfort zone, because every time I get out of my comfort zone, I usually don't regret it. But I might make an ass out of myself. But hey, that's part of the fun, right? You guys like it when I make an ass out of myself while I'm streaming, right? So, you know, it's fun. I already have people taking things that I've said out of context to make me look like an idiot. So I'm okay with that. Let's do that even more. I'm in. Let's go. You know, like.
Boy TV's saying we shouldn't be answering questions in chat because they're gonna have to sift through all of the Twitch chat questions too.
I can link it. I can link times for where it is. I can link it on VODs or I can link it on YouTube. I think. Yeah. It maybe you're right. Maybe we should do it.
Things?
Maybe we should do it a different way. But I can timestamp. Here's where your answer begins. Here's where your answer begins. That sort of thing. I think that would be a good way of doing it. But maybe I shouldn't be answering questions from chat because it should be kind of like. This is for patrons only, but then again, patrons already have a advantage here because they are guaranteed to get answers while people in chat aren't. So maybe that's enough. We'll see. Like I said, it's an experiment.
It's only the first one, so
Yeah.
we'll do it this way this time, and then we'll see what the feedback is, and if it doesn't go well, then we'll try it a different way.
Yeah, I might have to still do written answers to these questions, but it's an experiment to see how it goes. But we'll see.
At least this way, they're more in depth, I think, answers. Whereas if you are doing written versions still, and you're gonna have to cut down on the questions, you're gonna have to cut down on your answers.
Yep.
Right? Because
Yep.
it's just too long.
So we'll see what people think. If I post this and people are like, this was terrible, I want written answers, then I'll say, okay, well, the written answers are gonna have to be a lot shorter than they are, and if they're like, okay, I'm fine with that, then cool, they're fine with it, and then we'll do it that way. But anyway, so next Patreon question.
Max L asked, "Hey Joseph, just wanted to thank you for introducing me to Hollow Knight real quick. I would have never bought that game without your video, as I generally dislike platformers, meaning I'm real bad at them.
You're welcome. It's a great game.
Abhor backtracking." Is that how you say that? Abhor?
I think it's I've never had to say that word at all out loud.
Abhor? I'm going
think
with
it's
abhor. I'm going with a silent H.
Is it or
Abhorrent, right? When
it's abhorrent, right? So it's abhor. It's abhorrent is the key word, right?
I'm sorry, Max. Abhor backtracking. I don't know how to say that. It's one I've only read. I've never actually had to say it.
We've written books.
I've never had to say it though.
We've
I've
written
seen
books.
it. It's one of those words you never think you'll have to say aloud. Abhor backtracking, and am really rather lukewarm about exploration. Says a lot about how excellent that game is that I still thoroughly enjoyed myself. That Trial of the Fool, though, don't know if I can ever complete that.
Ooh. Pretty tough. It is pretty tough.
How did you feel about the openness in Hollow Knight's general design? I felt that even in late game boss fights in the White Palace, there were always more than one way to do things. Dodge an attack, complete a platforming section, etc. Simply learning to pogo off spikes led to me completing sections I was convinced required some later upgrade. Do you enjoy that or prefer a more focused, one way to do something approach?
It's funny that you say about jumping on spikes because I had the exact same experience that you did. I had the exact same moment where I was like, oh, I must... Because when you go through the first area in Hollow Knight, you go into these different rooms, and I was convinced that there was going to be a boss in that area that gave you the double jump. That's what I thought was going to happen. It's like, we're going to go down here, we're going to fight a boss, and the first upgrade that we're going to get is going to be a double jump. And it wasn't. It was a projectile attack. So that was really cool to, you know, have what I thought was a good expectation just completely just twisted away, and hey, no, it wasn't that at all. So yeah, I had a very, very, very similar experience than what you did. You are stuck, my dupe. You are stuck. So yeah, I loved the openness for that, and I really enjoyed how there were multiple solutions to do things, or multiple ways to do things, like you said, and it made the game have a lot of like puzzle-like click moments where I realized that, oh, okay, so I can pogo off these spikes. So that's a mechanic that you teach yourself, and now you can go and do. You can get an item in the first area if you go back to the first area, and there's a lot of cool little tricks like that. Yeah, but what I really liked about the openness was how you can go to so many different areas in your own order, and that can make exploring actually feel like exploring, which is rare in a 2D game when you can't even see where you're going really because you're stuck in one perspective and you can't really feel how this world fits together. That's usually quite difficult to do in a 2D game, and it felt that way. It felt like I was actually able to explore this world instead of just being guided to the next area with some side paths, the next area with some side paths. So yeah, that was a really cool thing about the game, and that's why it's probably my favorite Metroidvania because of that, and that the combat is actually pretty fun.
You are a madman for suggesting to not get all the nail upgrades. How are you so good at games? No, but for real, what were your favorite enemies to fight in Hollow Knight, not bosses, regular enemies?
I think me being good at games is going to be rapidly disproved by streaming. So you have to remember that when I make the videos, I'm not going to put in a bunch of content or clips of me failing something, not because I want to be like show that I'm really good at games, although that's a great side effect, is that I don't want to, like, that's not fun to watch. Someone repeatedly fucking up. Like that's not fun, and that's making the game look bad too. And usually I want to give the best impression that I can of the game, even if I don't like it. I want there to be, you know, like this was given a fair chance and everything. So you can, not always, but you can look at some of the things of the videos of kind of like you're comparing yourself to my highlight reel. So like probably slightly above average at games. But I'm stubborn and I can do things like the no nail upgrade. So I can get through that by just smashing my head against something. So that's how I can get through it. And can everyone smash their head against something and still get through it? Maybe not, but I'm pretty stubborn, and I think that makes me do challenges that might come across as impressive, but not really all the time. But yeah, so I'm not really. I don't think I'm fantastic, but yeah, thank you anyway for thinking so. Anyway, but your real question was, what were your favorite enemies to fight in Hollow Knight, not bosses, regular enemies? I really liked the primal aspids that shot the 3 burst attacks, even though I criticized them in the video, because they were just so. It's such a simple concept, and yet it was so effective at being challenging. I really liked the knights that could teleport around, because like I made the joke that in the video that they're one move away from being full boss status in their own series on Netflix, which is probably my favorite line in the whole video, because they're just so fun to fight. It was this I love the teleporting when the teleporting was fair, because it was just this constant back and forth and a lot of like jumping and dashing that was sometimes unpredictable but always felt fair. And I also, for some reason, they're really simple, but I really like the ones that would jump back and forth in the world's edge, or the end of the world, whatever it was called. Kingdom's Edge, that was a Kingdom's Edge. Because it just reminded me of Legend of Zelda 2, and I really like Legend of Zelda 2. So it reminded me of that, and I appreciated that it felt like it was an enemy just ripped right out of that game, because I really like that game.
Thank you to Detest Please, who just subscribed.
Oh my god, hold on.
Yep, with the $24.99 sub.
Wow, thank you so much, Detest Please.
That's
the biggest sub we got. Wow, thank you. That's really generous of you. Thank you. I don't know if does that mean that that's what it costs for 1 month, or does that mean that's what it costs for
how many months? I don't
know
how that works.
Is that like a lot of months all in one row? I don't know how that works, but thank you. Like, holy crap, thank you. And I think that's it, right? So
that was the end of the question.
Okay, so yeah, I hope that was a good enough answer for Hollow Knight. I love that game. Very, very, very good game. Definitely going to be my game of the year, I think. It's monthly? Wow.
Monthly, wow. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Let's take 3 questions from chat now. If anyone has any. And no one had any.
You deserve a moon for that.
Worth a moon. Worth a moon.
Who are some of your other favorite video game YouTubers?
Oh no. Well, there's the usual suspects that I talk about that I probably favoritism now, because I end up talking with them quite a lot. I really like Shammy, I really like Thin Reaper, I really like Nova Canoe, I really like Heavy Eyed, I really like Turbo Button, I really like Soul Porpoise for more literary looks at games. I'm gonna forget someone, and I'm gonna feel really, really bad. And
just off the top of your head,
I'm gonna feel awful about it. I used to like Matthew Matosis a lot, and I guess I still do. So it sounds like a really bad Mitch Hedberg quote. If you know Mitch Hedberg, he says, he has a line that he does like one-liner jokes, and he says, I used to do drugs, I still do, but I used to as well. Like that's one of his jokes. Matthew Matosis hasn't done anything that has made me not like his content anymore. He just doesn't make it anymore. So it's kind of like the same with Mr. B-Tongue, is that the two of them are kind of in the same boat, that I feel like there's nothing happening, and that's why I say that, which is a shame, because I love their content. I love their content. So that's a real shame. Well, I can alt tab out of this game. Let me see my sub list. Who else is here? Who else is here? I'm on the lookout for good channels that make videos that are women, and I can't find any. And that makes me a little sad. Like, I wish there were, but I really can't find any. Let's go through the list. For more popular ones, I really like Video Game Donkey. I think that he's hilarious, and I really like the content that he makes, and it's usually really funny. The really, 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 really bad impression that I did during Mario Odyssey was done out of love. Like I really like his content. Total Biscuit does great work especially when he takes a game and he does what the fuck is this? Like I that's one of the best things that is out on YouTube. You know, that there needs to be more of that. If I didn't have a channel already that I was doing my own thing, I would do that. You know, if I had the money to start a channel, you know, when I first started, I would have done that. I would have done first impressions, because I think there's so many games coming out on Steam that you need to have some information on them. Like, is it bad? Is it good? Is it bad? Is it or not? Mr. Caption is another one that isn't really making videos anymore, but I liked his videos when he did make them. Some guys that are new are White Light and Chris Davis. They're pretty good. C. Marshall doesn't make videos anymore. Writing on Games is usually pretty good as well. My bro Mandalore is pretty great, even though I hate him. Fuck you, Mandalore. You heard it here first. I think that you're bad and you should feel bad. H Bomber Guy is pretty funny, but some of his videos get too political for me, and I don't really like them for that. And I think that when he gets really political, that maybe, I shouldn't say this, but maybe being that kind of abrasive and political at the same time is maybe doing more harm than good. But I won't say anything more on that, but like maybe. Leonardo oh fucking hell, Sidsi? I think it's Sidsi. Leonardo de Sidsi does really, really cool videos. He has one of the best voices in all of YouTube. You should go check him out. King K is another one that has just an amazing voice, and he does good videos as well. You should go check King K out if you don't know him. And I think that's everyone that I mentioned. I think that's everyone. There's some people I follow their videos, but I'm not subscribed to them because I'm just a real shitter. I think that's everyone. Yeah, I think that's everyone I can think of right now. Sorry.
You got me through my economics and law finals this year with your YouTube vids. I appreciate the amount of time required to do such in-depth descriptive explanations of the games. Somehow was also good for when I was at the gym buzzing off pre-workout, so there you go. Please keep it up.
Cool, thanks. I'm glad that I was able to do that for you.
Super Butter Buns is a great female YouTuber.
Super Butter Buns?
Yes. Did you end up analyzing narrative structure through books when you wrote your first novel, or you just accumulate a lot of reading until reaching a comfortable spot?
So, hold on. Is Super Butter Buns just Rule 63 on Super Bunny Hop? Like, is this a joke? Is Super Butter Buns real? Or is that... I've never heard Super Butter Buns. Oh, it's a real... Oh, okay. Sorry, I thought maybe that was a Rule 63 joke. Anyway, what was the question?
Did you end up analyzing narrative structure through books when you wrote your first novel, or you just accumulated a lot of reading until reaching a comfortable spot?
Oh, okay. So, a lot of the stuff that I've learned about writing has been done by doing to books what I now do to video games. A lot of amateur fiction. I was really into critiquing amateur fiction. It's probably helped me be able to make the videos I do now, because when you're critiquing this is gonna be a long answer, I'm sorry. When you're critiquing someone's work and they're new, you are interacting with them. Like, the person might even be in front of you while you're doing it. So or you know them, you've spoken to them, you know, you're there. So like, you are crushing this person by doing this. You are fucking crushing this person. So you better goddamn have evidence of what you're saying. You better have examples. You better be like, look, I don't think you did this well, and I can point to it right now. So, you know, like, here's some concrete fucking thing that I'm saying. Please don't get offended. I still like your work. It's just this is what I want to say about it. You better fucking have that. And that's led to my like more evidence approach when it comes to video games. So that's definitely helped. But when it comes to trying my own books, like I said earlier, my books are not like, I have a lot of more quote unquote literary ideas that I haven't done because we needed to write the books to make money. That was what the books were about. Like, the books that I have published, self-published, sorry, it's not properly published, are very commercial, very genre fiction, very readable, very digestible. They're not something that we're fussed over. They were just written very, very quickly, and they were put out to make money, and they did make money. They sold, that sort of thing. They get a lot better as they went on, but unfortunately they're stuck behind these openings that aren't that stellar. Mm-hmm. So That's the problem. So if I had time, I would probably rewrite every single one of the first stories. I would rewrite Wizard and the Dragon, I would rewrite Bounty Hunter Series 1, and I would rewrite some of Monster Slayer Series 1 as well. But the opening of Monster Slayer Series 1 is actually pretty good, right? When she's losing all her memories.
That was, I think, more artistic of you. That was one of your more literary...
Well, I was like a year into it at that point, right? So
yeah, but
I
that
was taking
still
it a
a
little
more
bit more
literary
seriously.
concept, I think, than some of the other Monster Slayer ones, too.
Yeah, I was taking it more seriously at that point. Whereas the beginning of Wizard and the Dragon and the beginning of Bounty Hunter are just basically, hey, there's this guy with a robot suit and he has an AI. You know, it's very straightforward. It's meant to be that. It's meant to be very, very easy, and it's meant to be simple. But then they got more in depth as they went on. So did I analyze narrative structure? Yeah, like through critiquing a lot of other work, through reading a lot of books, and it's still something that's ongoing today. It's still something that I go through a lot. Every time I read a book, it's like I'm playing a game. It's like I analyze everything about the book. Lily writes books too, and we will talk about what did we like in the book, what did we not like in the book. Hey, this was a really good part. And then if it's really, really good, then we'll say, fuck you, John Irving, I can't believe you're this good, or fuck you, Kurt Vonnegut, how dare you be this good, you know, that sort of thing. So
yeah, and I bounce my ideas and stuff off you too, and you
and I bounce
you
mine off
edit
as
my
well.
stuff, and it's something we have conversations about too, right? So.
Yeah, and that's it.
Okay, scroll
Next.
for me so I can do another Patreon.
We're about halfway done the Patreon questions, I think. Okay, go ahead.
Matthew O asked, Heyo,
Heyo.
how do you know if your feedback is critical commentary versus just a personal opinion? I'm interested in the divide between subjective and objective opinions and how you determine which are appropriate to give.
Oh God, Matthew O, what have you done? I can't believe you've asked this. That is like a question for the ages. Subjective versus objective, and critical commentary versus just
Keeping
a
you on
personal
your
opinion.
toes.
Yeah, that is a tough question. Okay, so let's deconstruct this and take it into two parts. So how do I know if my feedback is critical commentary versus just a personal opinion? Well, it's both. Like everything is always going to be a personal opinion, and this will link into the second part because there is no such thing as true objectivity, and we've spoken about that in the Automata stream especially. I went on a big long rant. You were here for that one, remember? When I went on a big long rant. So it's always going to be personal opinion, and there's always going to be bias. No matter what, there's going to be bias. No matter what, there's going to be even if you've played a lot of games. Like if you played Mad Max, the Mad Max game that just came out or just came out last year. I can't remember what it's called. The Mad Max game that has driving around and it has Arkham combat. Okay, so if you play that game and it has Arkham Batman style combat, and you play the game and you have never played an Arkham game, or you've never played a Assassin's Creed game, then you might really like that game because it has combat that is pretty good the first time that you play it, and you might really like it. And then so if you've never played those games, then you might give it a really good review, and you might, like, whether you're a big time reviewer or you're just your own personal opinion telling your friends, you might give that a really big review, and then they go and play it and they're like, oh, it has that shitty combat, I've done this combat so many times before, like, how can you not know it's shit? And then you get into this argument, well, it's new to me, you know what I mean? Like that can come through in big reviews, and you can see that with what Jim Sterling said about Breath of the Wild, that Jim Sterling has played so many open world games that a lot of what Breath of the Wild did was like, you know, the Shania Twain thing, this don't impress me much, you know, like it's that all over again. Whereas a lot of other reviewers, or some reviewers, haven't played that many open world games, and they were like, oh my god, this is great, oh my god, and so there's that. So that shows that personal opinion and critical commentary can be the same thing. But then we get into your second part of your question, which is objectivity versus subjectivity. And I think that in order to be a proper reviewer or to be a critic, that you have to find a way to separate yourself at least a little and try to be a little objective, or as objective as you can possibly be. So an example that's coming up for me is that when I make my Odyssey video, I can't say this game sucks because I wanted it to be more about an assault course and more about an obstacle course and it's open world collectathon. I need to say I would have preferred that, but that's not fair because I'm judging the game as what I want it to be instead of what it is. So instead I have to acknowledge that I'm disappointed that the game isn't that, because that's what I've come to expect out of the Mario series, and then go on to judge it as it functions as a collectathon, which I still think it has flaws. So that's where I I that's where I think the difference between a personal opinion and a comment or subjectivity to objectivity can come through. That you need to realize that, hey, what's fair, what's not. You need to judge it like that. I think that's important. And you might say, well, but you didn't do that for Breath of the Wild. Well, I think I did, but also that Breath of the Wild would just be better with dungeons. It does have dungeons, and that was my big problem, is that it didn't have enough stuff to do in the world, didn't have dungeons. I wanted dungeon content. I wanted more tools to do that, have like not enough Zelda. I wanted more Zelda stuff. And the game would just be better than that, and it tried to have that, and it just didn't do it well. Like, it would be one thing if the game just didn't have dungeons at all, and it didn't have like anything to do with it, and it was just completely open world, no dungeons, no anything, no tools to use. It was just its own thing. Then okay, that would clearly is trying to be something completely different. Whereas it did try to have dungeons, and it did try to have some Zelda content. It just didn't do it very well, and it didn't do it enough. So I think that's where it becomes fair of me to judge it that way. I think that was all right. But when it comes to subjectivity versus objectivity, you're going to get into a lot of hot water, and it becomes like almost maybe not even almost, maybe it just is a philosophical question of, can anything really truly be objective? And then the example I went to with Automata, which may be kind of like what the fuck drugs is Joe taking tonight, is that even math, which you think, okay, well, 1 + 1 is going to equal 2, and it's like that's subjective. It's going to be, if you have one thing, you have another thing, then it's 2. That's objective. That's an objective thing. But the reason why we can do that is because our brains function in that way, and we can recognize 1 and 1, and we can recognize, and that's how we interpret what we're looking at. And it might sound stupid that you can say, well, anyone's going to interpret that way, any species is going to interpret that way, the universe interprets it that way. But does it really? Because all we have are our own perceptions of things. And maybe I'm not making much sense here, but that's how I look at it. Everything that we experience is inherently subjective no matter what, because we're limited by our perspective, no matter what we do, and that whole, I think therefore I am is flawed as well, because how do you know that your thoughts aren't predetermined? That's the whole point of fate and destiny, everything too. Like, you think therefore you am. Even if I'm a brain in a jar, I can think therefore I think therefore I exist. Well, not really. What if you're like a record player and your thoughts are just a record that you're going through, and even the act of you're thinking them is just an illusion on top of everything else. So I don't know, maybe that doesn't make much sense, but when you get boiled down to it, it becomes a semantic argument, because you can say anything is subjective and nothing is objective. So if that's the case, then objectivity must mean something else. It must mean objective within our subjectivity. Does that make sense? No?
Kind of.
Kind of? I've lost you. I've lost everyone. Everyone is like, fuck you, Joe. Fuck you, Joe. Did we get a sub and I missed it?
No, I don't think so. Not that I saw.
Let's look at Moobot. Where's Moobot? No, the test, please. Okay. I thought I saw someone say make the clawfish joke. Maybe
they were, just because people showed up. Yeah.
Okay, it's some all over again. Yeah.
I don't know if you even play mobile games, but if you do, it would be awesome to hear what you think of No Stranger.
I don't play no mobile games, and I have never heard of No Stranger. So let's look it up. No Stranger. No Stranger. Android apps on Google Play. No Stranger is not a game. It's a conversation. Okay, well, all right. As the app opens, you receive a message from a stranger, but by the end of your experience, you will know his name, his motivation, and his dark secret. That sounds kind of cool. Okay. I don't, like they say, it's not a game, but that sounds kind of cool. But no, I can't talk about it. Sorry. I've never done it. Is it free? It looks free. Looks like it's free. Anyone played it in chat? And while they're saying that, let's take 3 questions from chat.
Do we have a recommended reading list?
No. We don't have a recommended reading
I wouldn't
list.
even know where to start with that.
Yeah.
I think what you do is provide evidence for your subjective opinions which other people share. Therefore, even when people disagree, they have to accept there's merit in the criticism.
Yep. That's a good point. Yep, that's what I try to do. Yep. If when one of the best things I hear is that, you know, I disagree, but I can understand where you're coming from because you showed your work. It's kind of like when you're a kid and you're in school and you're doing a math test and they say to you, always show your work, because if you get the answer wrong, you still might get half point. If you
used to save me.
Yeah, if you show your work and you can demonstrate that you understand it at least a little bit, like that's how I look at it. Yeah.
So you're saying objectivity is just a consensus on a subjective opinion?
Consensus is even that is too, like consensus. Maybe, I don't know. Like consensus is still. There's probably something that society has a consensus on right now that is going to be proven wrong in like 10 years, and we'll look back and we'll like be like, what the fuck, you know what I mean? Like look at even just the societal movements and how we judge like different people of different cultures and everything. Again, getting dicey political here, but that's like there's a lot of things that were just that's the way it is, and that's consensus, and that's subjective. It's the if you've seen like Cloud Atlas, that's just the order of nature, or whatever Agent Smith keeps saying throughout that whole movie. Can you please eat this? Eat the polluted water. Eat the polluted water, Hatch. Eat it. Eat the polluted water. It's making bacteria and it's triggering me so hard. Please eat it.
Okay, Frosted Bricks asked a question. I've missed it a few times. Basically, they want to know if you have a list of games that you're planning to review, or if you just kind of wing it like with Mario, where you weren't going to do it and then you all of a sudden decided to do it.
Mario is the exception, not the rule. Usually I can plan ahead of time what I'm going to cover. But Mario is also not the exception, because I always think when I go into a video, when I go into a game, that I might not have enough to say. It's never a sure thing. It is never a sure thing if I'm gonna have enough to say on it. So there's always a little bit, and there have been videos that haven't been made because of that. You know, like, or I had too much trouble getting it out. So, you know, like The Last Guardian. You know, I thought for sure I was gonna get that. I wrote a review, and then there's the video, and I had too much trouble writing the script. And that's just hasn't happened. Will it happen eventually? Probably. It'll probably happen eventually. But yeah, that's something that happened. Ruiner, I thought I could probably do a video on Ruiner, and I look back at that and I'm like, I don't really have enough to say on that. So that's fine. Yeah, I think that answered the question, right? I hope so.
Last one, just is really fast. Have you read anything by Peter Watts?
No, I haven't. Didn't he do a commentary or write something on Soma? I think that's the guy, right? I think I read what I think it was linked to me after I'd made the video and I read it. Maybe. That sounds familiar. Maybe I'm thinking of someone else, but no, I haven't.
Okay. Lucas H. asked, Hi, Joseph. First off, I just want to say thank you so much for inspiring me to start writing and trying to create stories myself.
Good luck.
I'm a 16-year-old guy with a huge interest, fantasy, and passion about writing, but I always needed something to help me get started, which your videos have done, and really sparked my interest in writing, so thank you. And I really hope you will do some content about creating stories, for example, explaining how you write your books. Now to my question. What is, in your opinion, the best and most complete game ever created? Like the most well-rounded game without too much filler content or not enough content, good graphics, gameplay, etc., but hits the perfect sweet spot for all categories. For me personally, it's The Witcher 3, as it's as close to a 10 out of 10 that a game has ever been, in my opinion.
The game that immediately came to mind was Portal. Not too long, not too short. Has just a great concept, great story, great setting, great idea, great gameplay, great pacing, just wonderful, So I think that's the one that came to mind. Even though this is where it gets like you consider it perfect, but you still have favoritism and bias. Even though I still think probably Portal 2 might be better. Like Portal 2 might be better. For me, like, but yeah, the first game that came to mind is Portal. The second game that came to mind was Chrono Trigger. That it's just great story. For the turn-based gameplay is probably the best that I've ever experienced in a game. Even though I don't really like turn-based combat all that much. Just wonderful. It's a bit of a kid's game, but that's what it's trying to be. You know what I mean? So like you can't really argue that. Some other ones that might come close. Yoshi's Island. Yoshi's Island's wonderful. It's challenging, but not too challenging. There are challenges later on. Visuals are great. Still great. Just a really, really great experience. I don't know if Galaxy 1 or 2. I have to play them again. If Galaxy 2 is one of my favorite games, but I have to go back and look at it. Fury is too short. Baldur's Gate 2 is kind of inaccessible, so it doesn't qualify, even though it's my favorite. Shadow of the Colossus is one of my favorite games, but some of the bosses are a bit janky and a bit undercooked, and the writing between all of them can sometimes get a little bit tedious, but that's close. And I think that's it. I think that's all I can say. Let's cheat and ask chat again. Chat, do you think there are any other candidates for that qualification that was in that question? 150 bits by Ricket Racket. Let's have a Q&A on what the hell is going on in this game. Do you colonize planets to mass produce art with clone slaves? We are in the middle of an asteroid, actually. That's what it says. We have been teleported by this thing, printing pod, into the middle of an asteroid, and we are kind of carving our way out of it to just survive. It's an early access, so the end game hasn't been added yet. So that is what we have right now. So people are saying, agree with them, Witcher 3, maybe Half-Life 2, Hollow Knight, Akami, and that's it for the answer to that question. Cool. Divinity Original Sin 2. KOTOR. KOTOR was another one. Fury is great. Fury is one of my favorite games, but Fury doesn't have enough content, and the walking sections drag it down for me. So that's the problem. Okay, so I think we need to get started on our oxygen producing cells, which means I need to get some water down here into the big water reservoir that we'll eventually be using for a lot of stuff. And this is usually when I get bored and I start to kind of tunnel a little bit on keeping everyone alive, but I think we have enough food to keep going. I think we're doing okay right now. The art makes them less stressed, and if they get stressed, they start acting out. So that's why we're producing art. Someone asked about a question about the game. Anyway, we're taking, I think, 2 more questions from chat, or 3 more questions from chat. So if anyone wants to ask a question, go ahead, chat.
I blew out the candle, by the way.
Okay, the kids okay?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Both sleeping.
Good.
How do you feel the writing of video games compares to other mediums? Do you still think it's kind of amateur? For example, a game that gets a lot of praise for its writing, like The Last of Us?
Is it Tilu?
Tilu?
Yeah. Okay, so this is a delicate question for me because I am a writer, and I don't want... I said this in, I think, Rise of the Tomb Raider video. I never want to give the impression that I am saying I could do this better, because it's not true. Writing is definitely in a really bad state in video games. I would even say it's sordid. Ooh.
Fancy word.
Is that it's not given any priority and it's not given any importance in almost every game. There are exceptions, but in almost every game, no one gives a shit. The concept and the main story and the main characters are all thought up by people that have nothing to do, that have no writing experience whatsoever. They go with what is either marketable or what they think will sell or what sounds cool and or what fits whatever the gameplay they have. And then writers are brought in to write the dialogue, write audio notes, write diary entries, all that stuff that is separate from the main concept and doesn't really have much to do with it. They might be interact a little bit with the team, depends on the game, but most of my information is coming from reading Blood, Sweat, and Pixels and the interview that Rhiannon Pratchett had and a little bit about Fallout 4 and stuff like that. You have to understand that every single video game company works in very, very, very different ways. So, and they are quite a secretive industry, so there's not a lot of information, but this is what I can gather by the state of writing in here. So it is not that video games have poor writers. You should never ever say, or let's not go absolute, let's say you should almost never say that this game had shit writing. You should instead say that this game probably didn't have anyone in charge that had writing experience. What were the writers even doing? The writers weren't even consulted. This wasn't even a thing that the writers were asked about. That's what you should say instead. And until that changes, and that's very difficult because it's a miracle the games are made at all, and they're very, very, very tough to put together. Until that changes, that's going to be a problem that just carries on happening. And that's why I think that the industry is having a lot of problems with stories.
I asked a question on a stream a few days ago that was probably out of nowhere and may have been the wrong setting. I asked about taboo topics that you think that games don't really deal with. My question is, do you think that games avoid darker, more sensitive topics due to video games being used as a narrative device is still immature?
Well, it's sort of linked with what I just said, is that what we were just talking about, is that those are difficult to do properly. Like, let's go straight to a really extreme example. If a game ever had to deal with rape, like that is a tough topic to do properly. That it has to be done, like, for lack of a better word, respectfully, but with also not holding back on what a horrible thing that kind of is. And
If they fuck that up, then they fuck up
yeah,
the whole game.
like that's tough to do in books and movies and film and TV shows that have so much more defined terminology. Could you imagine trying to do that in a game where you don't even have any of that stuff? Like that's a nightmare, you know, with writers that aren't even, like, fully in charge. You know, that is really, really tough. So yeah, that's I think that's why, is that you have no real writers doing any of this work and helping out. So like they don't want to touch it, or they don't even know how to touch it. So, like, yeah, that's how I feel about that. So yeah, it's definitely into what we just said. I think we're gonna start seeing more taboo topics trying to be made. I think that we saw a little bit of that in Edith Finch. I think we're starting to see, like, The Last of Us 2 trailer was pretty brutal, so we'll see what happens there. But how can you tell a story about that in a game, in a medium that typically has to have, you know, some sort of combat, or, you know, like there needs to be some shooting, some exploration, either shooting, exploration, jumping, puzzles. You know, there has to be something that the player's doing, right? So how do you do something that's that
It's a lot
difficult?
harder than in a movie. Or in a
While
book.
you also have to do, like, imagine a Mario game dealing with that topic. You know, like, oh, you know, so Peach got brutally murdered. What are we gonna do, Mario? This is super serious. Woohoo! Woohoo! Worth the moon, you know, like, I'm like, everyone's gonna be like, you're being funny, but I'm not. Like just, it's the same for shooty game, you know. It's like, how do you reconcile that, you know? Like, you can't. So, like, I think there needs to be more games that have some way of having more mature, serious gameplay, or more mature, serious story, but also gameplay that doesn't have a massive disconnect from what's going on. So, like, yeah, like, I think that's it. Again, I'm really I'm leery of saying stuff like that, because I don't want people to take it completely out of context, because that's happening already, like I said. But, like, yeah, that's definitely a thing that is happening, you know, with games. And I think we're not going to see much of that until some of those problems are solved, or maybe they can never be solved, and without games being completely story focused and more like stuff like Edith Finch or Soma. And Vargas just subscribed. Thank you very much, Vargas. Thank you for the sub. I think we have one more question.
Just do the last question here because it looks short. Will you ever do sponsored content?
Probably not. I got offered yesterday or the day before to do a sponsored tweet about a game that was about to go on sale. Like I don't mean like it was about to be available for purchase. I mean it was going on special sale, and they wanted me to tweet for, like, a portion of the profits or whatever came from my tweet. And I thought that maybe that would be okay, but while I'm making money on Patreon, I don't think that's okay enough. I think that's not good. I think that if I'm raising money sort of like a charity, that's what it is, right? It's I'm making something for it, but, like, you don't have to pay me to watch the videos. It is a charitable donation, you know. Even more than it is on Twitch. On Twitch, you are subbing so you don't get to see ads while I'm streaming, and you're also encouraging me to stream more. It directly correlates to what I'm doing. Whereas on YouTube, the videos are there, and if you want to support more, then here's Patreon, and maybe I can make more, maybe I can make them faster, maybe I can make them more in depth, definitely. But that's more like a charity sort of thing. And while I'm being publicly funded, in quotes, like, I don't think it's good to also, shove. What? Oh, I hit X. Shove, like, promotions and advertisements into the faces of the people who are following me. That said, would that tweet have been, like, all that bad? Probably not. I think people would have been okay with it, but still, it didn't feel right to me. Especially considering the punchline for this story is that the game it was on that they wanted me to tweet out, go get this game, it's on sale right now, was Darkest Dungeon. So yeah, that was pretty funny. That's what it was on.
Vincent F. asked, "Hey Joseph, I thought you brought up some interesting points in your Little Nightmares video about how some games try to be an experience."
Thanks, Vincent. A lot of people didn't like that video, so thank you for saying that. I think that is my least liked video out of all the ones that I've done. So thank you for saying that. I thought that video was pretty good, and it was something of an important topic to discuss, but a lot of people disagreed. But thanks.
I liked that video. It kind of made sense to me. A lot of your videos with the gameplay, I go right over my head, but I got a lot out of that video. I would say that a great experience is influenced by 3 major factors: a story with a fascinating world and interesting characters, gameplay that innovates with something new and immerses you into that world, and music that, when used correctly, can elevate a great moment to something you'll never forget. Would you agree with this way to measure how great an experience is, or do you have your own way to look at it?
The way that you're describing it is very broad. So I agree and I disagree at the same time, because the way that you're describing it is so broad. It's not absurdly broad, definitely not. But the way that you're describing it is like, well, it needs to have a fascinating world, interesting characters, gameplay that's linked to that, and really good music that pulls you in. Like that's hitting all the marks, right? Like that's just a fantastic game overall. So I'm gonna take it, and I'm gonna agree with you, but I'm also gonna say that what's important to me is that when it comes to experience games, is that it is either tapping into something that was already in me, that is resonating with, or it needs to be a sort of unique sort of experience that gets me when I maybe didn't think I would enjoy it, or it's something that I've always kind of wanted to experience on the other side. So the idea of Subnautica, where you are being stranded on like an alien world like that, is just wonderful. It's just great, and it's realized really well. The Long Dark is the other one that I pointed to in that video. Is that like I would love to have a post-apocalyptic game with zombies that has as sharp a focus on survival that the Long Dark has. If the Long Dark had zombies, that would be the closest a game has ever gotten to my perfect zombie game that I want. And I know that seems kind of like, oh, then it's just gonna be another zombie game, and you're right, it is, but that's what I would like. That's what I want. I want some hardcore survival thing with that. With my zombie game. That's my preferred one. So it needs to be something that's a lot more intangible than what you're saying. So that's why in that video I said that it's so hard to judge, and it's so hard to really nail down, is that there's some intangible quality to it that it's hard to explain. Now you can look at Subnautica and you look at Long Dark, and you can like list out why it succeeds and why it doesn't. But then there are things about the Little Nightmares that made me think of my childhood and spoke to me that way, and really got to me that isn't going to work with other people. Just
sentimental element.
Yeah, that's a good way of saying it. Sentimental element. Maybe you should have answered this question. Whereas Inside didn't do that at all to me at all. So there was that, and it did with some people, so it didn't do that to me at all. Same with Limbo. A lot of people love that about Limbo. But it's a difficult thing to talk about, and maybe I'm not doing it justice right now. But yeah, I think the more objective way to grasp it is with those kind of an experience game that is a lot more like a realistic surgeon simulator. You know what I mean? Is the gameplay really there? Is that what you want? Is the gameplay really fun that you are doing surgery, if it was a really realistic surgeon simulator, or is it just the experience of like actually thinking that you're performing surgery? Just like flight simulators. They might try and get really realistic. Are you enjoying that it's this realistic and tedious as you're flying this plane? Probably not. You're there for the experience of actually feeling like you're flying a plane, along with how tedious that is, right? So I think that's where
Most surgeon games actually exist.
Surgeon Simulator is a joke game.
Sounds like it'll be fun.
It's a joke game. There's also like an anime one where you are fighting off like corrupt tumors. It's really funny. What's that anime game called where it's like you're drawing like pentagrams and symbols all over it with the stylus? It's a Wii game, isn't it? That's it's kind of silly. But anyway, okay.
Have you ever cried or gotten an emotional chill from a game, film, or show? I think it's a great achievement when something can do that to me, and always look forward to the next thing that does it.
Okay, so emotional chill, or I think there's a French term for it called frisson, where you get like it's kind of like goosebumps, or like your whole body kind of feels like it just shivers all of a sudden. You ever gotten that?
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, there's been a lot of things that do that to me. That level of reaction. As for crying, the only thing that's ever made me cry in media has been the end of the movie Big Fish. I don't know why. It just like just out of nowhere, just kaboom, like punch right in the tear gland.
I've
Just
heard other
just
people
like
have had that reaction to it
just
too. I've
just
never seen it though.
just Big Fish got me, and that's it. There have been some things that have upset me. There have been, the opening of Last of Us upset me more after having kids. There have been lots of books that have upset me. A lot of John Irving stuff has upset me. There's arguably the most important scene in Catch-22 really upset me when I don't want to spoil it, but someone dies. A lot of people die in that book, so that's not a spoiler. But yeah, someone dies, and it's really powerful. And the whole book is teasing it until that moment, and you don't really realize what's happening. And it's the Bombardier scene if you've read it, and that's all I'll say. Yeah, that really got to me. But a book has never made me cry, and I think Big Fish is the only movie that's made me cry.
The last episode of 6 Feet Under.
Yeah.
When they,
That's
shows how it all ends.
That's a pretty emotional
that
one
was
too.
a very that stayed with me.
Oh, Super Mario Odyssey made me cry because it was just like I'm never gonna be the same again. I'm never gonna play something that good ever again. That made me cry. I literally wiped my eyes at the credits.
Literally.
I literally wiped my eyes at the credits. Okay, let's take 3 questions from chat.
Oh, this one is pretty much.
Okay,
Corey, we'll do this one because it's in the same vein. Corey B asked, "Has any video game made you cry? If not, feel free to just say no. You have enough questions to answer already."
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, Corey B. But the person before you just asked the exact same question, so I'm just gonna yeah, it's right above. If I make timestamps and you just got here and you're looking at your timestamp, then you just have to go back like a couple minutes and listen to that one. I'm very sorry that it just so happened that his question came through the order before yours. I go through how they chronologically come on the Patreon post, so I'm sorry that I answered it before, but I don't have anything else to say on it. I don't think I can. Is it like emotional resonance with video games? Edith Finch got to me a little bit. Like I said, Last of Us. I felt like I connected a little bit with some characters in Baldur's Gate 2, but nothing that made me cry. I think that's it. Oh, Soma made me think, so Soma got to me a bit too. Yeah, sorry, Corey B.
Good night to Arelka13. And Gold Card Joey says, 23 years old, struggling to quit alcohol, arrested yesterday, read your QA on why you don't drink. Thanks for streaming to give me something to watch while I struggle not to go down the street the last 35 minutes before midnight to buy wine. I figure if I make it, worth the moon. Thanks again.
Definitely worth the moon. Definitely worth the moon. And good luck with it, Gold Card Joey. Really good luck with it. Yeah. I don't think you should feel ashamed. I don't think you should feel ashamed at all. I think that a lot of people struggle with addiction without even realizing that they struggle with addiction. I'm going to tell you outright that there have been things that I've been addicted to in my life that have been very bad, and you need to separate yourself from them, and it's going to be difficult. But once you get past, I think it's going to be like a couple weeks, right? Once you get past a couple weeks, it'll become easier. But you shouldn't feel ashamed. There are plenty of people that are addicted to things like the internet. They're addicted to it's a joke to a lot of people, but some people really are addicted to Reddit. They're addicted to Twitter. They're addicted to 4chan. They're addicted to Facebook. They're addicted to the attention it gets. They're addicted to this feedback loop of, oh, I posted something, how many likes did it get? Like and that is really destructive to a lot of people, and they don't even realize it. So like just good on you for taking the first step and even realizing it, because a lot of people don't. My voice broke there. That was a bad time for that to happen. A lot of people don't. Some people are addicted to Twitch. Like it happens. It really happens. And that
it's a real thing. People don't take it very seriously, but it's a very real thing.
And it is really good that you realize that and you've accepted it. And I wish you all the best with it.
I know it's a very basic book, but Of Mice and Men is a pretty heavy-hitting feels book, and we have it, and we haven't read it.
Yeah, we have it. I haven't read it. We have a. Didn't you read it?
No, I bought it for you for Christmas one year, and I don't think you read it, and I didn't read it either.
You really didn't read it?
No, I didn't read it.
I thought you read it.
No, it's Animal Farm, but I didn't read.
Huh.
What's your most played game on Steam?
I think Skyrim has the most hours, but like I would leave that running to level up stealth. You know, like all night I would, and I leveled like so many different characters because I would just get bored after I got 20 hours in, and then I would just restart. I think Skyrim, or probably Civilization 4. I think Civilization 4 is the big one for me. I played that a lot. Technically Clicker Heroes, because I played that through Steam client and just let it idle. But yeah, I think technically Clicker Heroes would win, but that's not a game that you play a lot. If we're talking about a game that I've played actively, like actually played, then it would be Civ. Definitely Civilization. Civilization 4 would be the most. I'm kind of clicking through the big ones here. Elder Scrolls Skyrim has, yeah. See, like I let this run so long. It has 613 hours. That is not actively playing that game. Like, or I would just pause it and just leave for 5 hours. I just go out. You know, like that is not correct. No way is that correct. Yeah, probably definitely a Civilization game. Definitely. Yep. No doubt about it.
I'm like an alcoholic, but instead of alcohol, it's food, and instead of getting drunk, it's being fat.
Yeah, a lot of people are addicted to food, addicted to drinks that aren't alcohol, addicted to video games. Definitely. I think me and you are both addicted to probably Coca-Cola, right? Like we don't...
and when I'm depressed, I eat.
Yeah.
You know, even though I'm not hungry, I just eat just because it's something to do. So how many people are like that where
you don't show it.
No, well, and I still have baby weight, but like, you know, I would be a lot thinner if I didn't eat as a hobby or as a coping mechanism.
Sugar is one of the worst addictions. Yep. Sugar's really bad.
Okay, let's go Patreon for a minute, and we'll go back after.
Okay.
Kiefer O asked, "Thank you for the response last month. This month I'm cheating and giving you 3, but 2 are pretty simple."
Ooh, cheater. Pumpkin eater.
Have you ever played either of the Dark Cloud games? I'd absolutely love to hear your thoughts on them. They're both in my top 5 games of all time. I think they'd be super interesting to see you do a video on, especially seeing as there's almost no content related to them on YouTube.
I think I've seen my friend play those, and I haven't played them. Dark Cloud is the series that has you doing some sort of town building at the same time that you go dungeoning, isn't it? I think the main character kind of looks like Link, right? Am I thinking of the right game? Let me check. Dark Cloud, PlayStation 2, right? PlayStation 2. Yep, I'm thinking of the right game. Yeah, I think I saw my friend play that a bit, and it looked interesting, but I never got to play it because he was being a dick that weekend, I guess. I don't know. I didn't have a PlayStation 2 for the longest time, so I missed out on a lot of games. Yeah, it looks cool, but I haven't played it, so I can't really talk about it. So yeah, maybe I'll try that out at some point.
What is your favorite band musician?
Oh wow.
You don't really have one, do you?
I don't really have one really, but like I could say bands. Like when I was a teenager, the first band I really liked was Linkin Park, which is gonna date me. And your next question is how old I am. So yeah, that's gonna help. Yeah, Linkin Park was the first big band that I was really into when I was a teenager, which is kind of embarrassing to admit now, but yeah, hey, whatever. Like it's fine. Everyone has that embarrassing band. Then I was really into Tool for a while, which is even more embarrassing because Tool fans are awful. I was never a obsessive fan. I just liked their music. That's it. I didn't know the band members' names. I didn't know what they were. No discussion forums. Nothing. I just liked their music. That was it. I wasn't one of those super edgy edgelord Tool fans. Then I got really far away from them, and I just listened to a lot of like catchy pop music for a lot of years, and that's kind of where I'm still at. I really like Porcupine Tree. That's another kind of pretentious band though. I really like Porcupine Tree. But like not a lot of people know about Porcupine Tree, so usually I just say like my favorite song. My favorite song of all time is probably Porcupine Tree, Arriving Somewhere But Not Here. But when someone asks me, so I don't look like a complete dick, I just say it's Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen because I love that song too. That's my favorite song. But it's not really my favorite song. My favorite newer song is Holding On To You by 21 Pilots. I like 21 Pilots a lot, and unfortunately, like is a trend, I'm just attracted to these bands. Their fan base is fucking awful. Just awful. They're awful fan base.
I am a fan right here.
Yeah. Awful fan base. So like I feel like
I used to tell people I liked Madonna because I didn't want to say 21.
Yeah, I feel like a fucking mong saying that I love 21 Pilots because their fan base is just so fucking terrible. But yeah, I will hipster it up though and say that I knew about 21 Pilots before they were cool. So fuck all you hater fans. Like I get to like them, so fuck you all.
On that note, how old are you? I've always imagined you as being in your early 20s based off of your voice, but you mentioned living on your own in 2006 in my last question, which throws that off. Thanks again.
I am 32...
In 2 weeks.
Is it 2 weeks or next week?
2 weeks.
2 weeks. I'm 32 in 2 weeks. Yep. 1985. Yep.
You were 20 when we moved out.
Yep.
Almost 21, but you were 20. So that puts you in 2006.
Was it that late? I thought it was a little bit before that. Maybe I was just mentally checked out. Oh well, there was a while where I was pretty much just a tenant. Maybe that's why.
That's why you were. Yeah.
Yeah, I was.
You were
a
living
tenant.
here, but you weren't really.
Yeah,
living
I was
here.
a tenant at home. That's why. That's where I get confused. My memory's just dog shit, man. Just dog shit. No offense, dogs. Okay, let's take 3 questions from chat, and then we will go on to the next person. I've already scrolled it down.
Mm-hmm.
Someone said Porcupine Tree is super famous. Are they? Every single person that I've ever said Porcupine Tree, they've gone, Porcupine what? I've never heard of that band. Why don't you like a normal band? Pick another band.
Do you have a game that you enjoyed when you were younger, but when you returned to play them, you ended up liking them a lot less? Why?
Yep. Banjo-Kazooie. I recently tried to replay Banjo-Kazooie and I didn't like it. Mario 64 I think hasn't aged all that well either. The movement is still good and the basic gameplay is still good, but the stars that you get and the worlds are a little... Where are you? Why are there only 4 people sleeping? Why is this... What? Did someone die? Did someone die? No, we have 4. Okay. I thought we had 5. Yeah, Banjo-Kazooie and Mario 64, like the movement's still great, gameplay's still great, but the stars are a bit boring. And there's only like, I think what, like maybe 4 levels in Mario 64 that are actually good. Like, and they're like TikTok Tower. No, it's not TikTok Tower. It's fucking hell. That's Click Clock Wood from Banjo-Kazooie. What's the clock level from Mario 64? Why do I not remember this? Is it just TikTok Clock? TikTok Clock? TikTok Clock, okay. I was there. Okay, TikTok Clock, yeah. That level's great. The Rainbow Road level's great. Wet Dry World is great. Big Small Land has a cool concept. You know, like
TikTok Clock, Rainbow Road.
They're like, but the rest of them are just kind of general and kind of small and kind of boring. You know, especially compared to some of the stars you get in like Galaxy 1 and Galaxy 2 with the obstacle courses that you go through. Like my favorite parts of Mario 64 are the Bowser levels. So yeah, I didn't enjoy that much going back to it. There must be something else, but I'm not thinking of it right now. Going back to some of the Infinity Engine games was kind of rough. It was hard to tolerate them. If I played Ultima Online again today, I would probably hate it, even though I was into that game a lot when I was younger.
What about Gorillas? We like Gorillas.
Gorillas are pretty good.
Usually they fit into my 90s playlist. Yeah. What do you like about Zelda 2? Music is the only pro for me.
I like the gameplay. I really like the gameplay in Zelda 2. I know a lot of people don't, but I like the dueling. I like that it's challenging. I think it gets a little too abstract sometimes and a little absurd with it demands of you for progressing, but I like it. Yeah, it's good. It's not my favorite Zelda game, and you could argue that it isn't a real Zelda game, but and you'd probably be right compared to the other ones. It's definitely the black sheep of the whole series, but I enjoy it. It was good. Like it's a cool 2D platformer combat thing. Yeah, I like it.
Gorillas the band, not Gorillas the animal.
What about gorillas like the animal? Gorillas are scary, man. You don't want to fight a gorilla. Gorillas are
They might
terrifying.
not be 90s, but there was that song that was 90s, wasn't it? Wasn't that 90s? Is that what you were just singing? Close
don't
to,
know.
otherwise it was early 2000s.
Let's find out. What's that song?
Let me ask this question because I'm going to miss it. Have you ever thought about doing games with patrons? For example, a real popular one right now, PUBG, can have up to 100-player lobby.
Clint Eastwood, 2001.
Okay, I'm close though.
2001.
I'm close.
Feel good.
It was still early high school. Still counts.
That's 90s in our heart, right? That's
To
90s
me,
in our
to me,
heart.
they're all like early 2000s and late 90s are all just mixed into one.
Should we do a poll and see who chat thinks is better, Britney Spears or Christina Aguilera?
Do you really want to go down that road?
Nah. Okay, I don't know how bad this is. Biohazardous. Let's not do it. What was the question?
Would you ever play a game with patrons? There's a
Oh,
PUBG.
okay, yeah, I'm gonna say yes, but not anytime soon. Like, I'm still getting used to streaming. Even getting the poll set up to make sure that it's not rigged when it's linked somewhere is a hassle. So like the poll for Monday, like there's, in case you missed it, there's a poll for patrons and subs can propose a game and then vote on it, and I'll play it this Monday. So if you haven't seen that, you should probably go on Discord and go into the secret chat that's there. If you are using the same account, you will automatically be granted access to it if you're using the same account, so you can go and see it. I think I have to sneeze. Is it going away?
Bless you.
Oh, it didn't go away. Good. So yeah, even that's kind of been more hassle than I thought. So how would I organize that? I have no idea, but there must be a way to do it, right? So we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out, but it's gonna be tough. But yeah, I'll probably do it at some point. Yeah, but not anytime soon. Sorry.
Brittany is winning.
Shania Twain better than those gals? Oh, Shania Twain in the Man I Feel Like a Woman video. Oh man.
Is that when she's wearing the leopard?
No, it's when she's wearing the.
Isn't it man? That's what you said.
It's when she's wearing the suit. She's dressed like
the menswear.
Yeah. She's got the.
Oh, then I'm thinking of That Don't
and
Impress Me Much.
she's got the gloves on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm with you. I got you.
Yeah. Oh man, Shania Twain. We went on a little journey there, didn't we, chat?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's
go to
back.
Patreon.
Okay.
Stuart H asked, not sure if you've considered this yet, but after asking viewers if they wanted to see Mass Effect or Witcher videos, I was really curious as to how you plan to approach character choice in those games. What I mean is that there are so many things in both Mass Effect and Witcher that you will never see on 1, 2, or even 3 playthroughs due to the game adapting based on your decisions. When you are trying to talk about the game, how will you approach this issue?
Yeah, I thought about this a lot, and I don't have a good answer to this yet. This is a problem that I have consistently. First of all, the problem is twofold. First of all, is realizing that there are multiple options, especially in games that don't make it obvious. There is a big flaw in the Soma video that there's a choice near the end that is actually broadcast to you quite well, but when I didn't want to go through the whole game again, so I just went on Google and I just typed in, is this actually a choice? And there was an answer that said it wasn't. And if you without spoilers, you're in a room and you have to do something in the room, and there's another guy in the room that is telling you to do it, and it looks like you can just walk out of the room and just not do anything. And I did what he wanted me to do, and then I thought, okay, well, can I just walk out of the room? And I Googled it, and someone said if you try to walk out of the room, the guy just grabs you and makes you do it, and there's no choice. So I was like, okay, so there's no choice, so I don't need to play the game again. And it turns out that was just a crock of shit, and there is a choice there, and you can. There is something that changes. So I need to find a way to properly realize where there's a choice, and then I need to find a way to see these choices without having to play the game 5 million times over again. So for a game like The Witcher that is being played a lot, I could probably get by with playing the game. I always play the games more than once. I always play the games twice, and I can make different decisions. And then I could probably utilize a lot of save files to just jump back to where it is without having to replay the whole game. Or in the case where there are decisions nested in other decisions, which is pretty tough, I'm going to have to use Wikipedia, and I'm going to have to use Let's Plays on YouTube, I think, to see all of them and hopefully get some footage of them with asking for permission. I don't think I need to even ask for permission for Let's Plays, but I think I would still like to ask for permission. So that'll be how I do it. That will be tough, though, and it is difficult. I I think it'll be easier in stuff like Mass Effect, but in Witcher 3 it might be tough to really nail that down.
During one of your live streams, I asked how you will manage expectations going into Witcher 3. I personally went into the game completely blind with no expectations and got my favorite gaming experience ever. I also know people that went into the game after hearing the insane praise for the game on the internet, and they were super critical, like going in with the mindset to prove others wrong. When I asked you on stream about your expectations, you said you want it to be better than Skyrim, so my question to you is, how good is Skyrim? I know answering this question in detail is better left to a potential future video. I'm just asking for your general thoughts.
Okay, so expectations are really important, and that's a whole other thing all to itself. But yeah, expectations, like, make the world go around, man. Like they completely make the world go around. In every facet of society, in every facet of entertainment, you know, food even. Someone says, hey, this place is a great restaurant, you should go check it out, and then you go, and it's like, well, if I just discovered this place on my own, I would probably think this is great, but because Bob said that it was so fucking fantastic, I went here waiting for the best, expecting the best steak of my life, and it turned out to be just okay. So fuck you, Bob, you know, like, what the fuck, Bob? So basically we just need to get rid of all the Bobs, and then things will be better. But no, seriously, like that's a big deal. That's a big thing, and I think it's impossible. It's impossible to manage your expectations, and even if you do somehow manage to go into something with no expectations, even no expectations is an expectation. That's still a setting on the expectation scale. So, like, if I found a game on Steam that had one review and it was just fucking mind-blowing incredible, I am going to, like, fillet that game more than I would otherwise, because it's like, oh my god, no one knows about this game, it's so good, I can't believe it, underrated gem, holy shit, you all should play this game, like, oh my god, I'm so excited that I was the one to discover this. You know what I mean? That's bias. That is just as much bias as this. I hear this is so great, so you know what, fuck this. You know, that's part of it too, and it's just impossible to get rid of that. It's just impossible. But as for your other part of the question, Skyrim is good. It is a good game. It is not a great game. It is not a phenomenal game. It's not a marvelous game. It is good. It is Mario Odyssey. It is 6 out of 10. Okay, it is a good game. I like it a little bit more because I'm so taken by it, and I can just sink into that game so easily. But I'm realizing, and I can accept that it is something that just kind of just gets me a little more than Mario Odyssey. So even though it's ranked the same, I still enjoy Skyrim more. There is so much to do. It's a giant world to explore. It is better realized than most open world games, and there is a good leveling system in it. You can learn things as you use them. It's got just enough there to experiment with that it's fun. It's dated now because it's almost like it's like 6 years old. What, next week? I think like it's 6 years old next week. So it is an enjoyable experience as long as you like those kinds of experiences, but it's not going to knock your socks off. So what I want out of Witcher 3 to be better than Skyrim is that I want it to have better stories, at least the same amount of attention to detail in the world, better visuals, which I already know it has, so it's already got me there, better characters, and the biggest one that it really needs to do, and the bar is set super low, so I'm sure it's going to get it, is that the combat needs to be better than Skyrim. And if that does that, then it'll be one of my favorite games, because Skyrim is one of my favorite games, but that's judging it subjectively, not more as a critic. Like, I'm saying a 6 out of 10 game is one of my favorite games, and I think that's the power of how a game can just get you sometimes, or you just really sink into it well. That's the power that I can show about that. Whereas I'm rating Mario Odyssey the same, and yet, like, I'm never gonna play Mario Odyssey again after I'm done with it. Whereas I'm probably gonna play Skyrim again at some point. Hope that makes sense. Now let's take some 3 questions from chat, and I think how many questions do we have left in the Patreon? We have 5 pages left, I think. Cool.
We're getting there.
We're getting there. Going through it faster than I thought.
I just watched your experience video you talked about earlier and really related to it. It now will make me consider the experience when I look at future reviews.
Cool, thanks. Yeah, like I said, a lot of people don't like that video, the experience video. Yeah, a lot of people didn't like it. A lot of people like, you don't know what you're talking about. Of course, you can judge things. And then I had arguments with a couple of people, and I said how, like, it's like a taste in food. Like I say in the video, can you, like, tell me how you can judge how can you judge a food? How can you judge steamed broccoli, you know, spiced with pepper and garlic or whatever, if you hate broccoli? Like, and why do you hate broccoli? You might not even know. Maybe your mother just like made you live in broccoli when you were a kid, or like every single meal, here's your broccoli and shoved it in your mouth, and now you hate it. It's associated with a really bad memory.
Like the smell
or you don't like the smell, or it's just genetic. It's genetic as well. And I had someone tell me, well, if you're a food critic, you get past that, and you are able to judge if someone would like it even if you hate it. And I said to the guy, like, when I put something I don't like in my mouth, I gag and spit it out. I don't know what happens to you, but that's what happens to me. Like I hate cabbage. I'm being real. This is an example. This is me. I hate cabbage. I even hate the word. I hate saying it. Like I hate saying cabbage because it makes me think of cabbage, and I hate it. I hate cabbage, and like like no amount, even smelling cabbage makes me want to just like fucking just leave. You know, if I go into someone's house and they're like, hey, we have cabbage here, I'm like, okay, see you later. Like I'm not like, I hate cabbage, so like I can't judge cabbage, you know. So like there you go. What? Do you like cabbage?
I'm part Polish. It's like their main food group. Why are you with me?
I hate cabbage.
Of all the nationalities.
Don't get me started on those fucking Cabbage Patch Kids. Fuck them.
Fluxen was asking about why we're streaming so late. It's almost 1 o'clock here.
Yeah, we're doing the Patreon Q&A in stream form to see if this is something that's better than the written version as an experiment. And if it is, then this will be the thing going forward. And if it isn't, then we're probably gonna have to gut the feature, because this is gonna take us what? Let's be realistic and say we're gonna be here for another half hour, maybe an hour.
Mm-hmm.
This is gonna take us 3 hours. And if I was writing this, it would
More than 3 days.
Yeah, it would take me days and days and days. So this is what we're doing instead. Because I'm losing time on videos and so many other things that I could be doing. Like if you add up the time for all the Q&As, like this is gonna make some of you sad, but we're probably down like 3-4 videos on the channel. I didn't realize how much time it was taking until recently. I thought it was fine because I could weave in questions between doing other work, but if you add up all the questions and everything, and especially lately, I've been forgetting about the Q&A. Like I just forgetting, and like Lily will tell you, it gets toward the end of the month, and I'm like, okay, so I'm gonna do this video, I'm gonna do that video, and then we're gonna work on that, and then she says to me, don't forget you have to do the Q&A, and I just like get the kids out of the room because I'm gonna scream fuck, because I just like, I enjoy doing it, but I enjoy reading them too. I forget. Like it's a very enjoyable thing for me, but it's a lot of work, and I forget, and then I'm fucked on deadlines. So yeah, it's just too disruptive, unfortunately. So if this doesn't work, then we're gonna have to change the format, and we're gonna have to gut it, or we're gonna have to just cancel it completely. And I've had a lot of patrons tell me that they would prefer if I just canceled it. They're like, yeah, this is taking up too much time. I'd rather have videos. So I'm sure there's gonna be at least 1 or 2 people that are just like, okay, well, I'm canceling my pledge because I like this, and I'm sorry, I really am, but as I've said before in past Q&As, like, you guys are giving me money every month to make videos. You're not giving me money to answer questions. So sorry.
So if we can do it on Twitch, and we can, you know, he can upload them then to YouTube for everyone to see, then I think it's a good compromise.
Yep. We're doing like one more question, and then we're going on to the
yeah, I'm waiting to see if there is one.
Just write short answers, maybe? Yeah, that could work. Everything could be a turbo mode kind of thing.
The only problem is, Sam, that you see how he gets on these tangents, and so he does them in the writing too. So he can't even answer them shorter when he's verbally answering them. So, and then he worries that, well, what if someone got a longer answer than someone else? Is that fair? And then he wants to make sure they're all the same. And there you go. Okay, one more question, and then we'll go back. How would you feel if Nintendo pivoted and made the next Mario game a hardcore third-person action game where you explore an interconnected and desolate world with a heavy focus on combat and world building through small details in the characters and environment?
Sounds great. Is he also gonna have a sword and a dodge button and no more jump and a real like soulful story? Yeah, sounds great to me. Why not? Dark Souls.
Oh, is he?
Dark Souls. It's a joke.
It's right over my head though. So, and there was no kappa, so I read it.
gray face, not Kappa.
They educated me. I'm supposed to say Kappa. I'm learning the Twitch ways.
Gray face is way funnier.
They're supposed to be teaching me like one new term every stream, but now that I'm in chat, I'm not learning shit. So
gray face, no space.
David S asked, I saw you streaming Nier Automata, and it was great hearing you talk while playing it and giving it your thoughts and such, but I couldn't help but wonder if your impression of the game has been influenced by streaming yourself playing it. Would you say it has or not?
Oh yeah, it definitely has. It 100% has, because there were things that I didn't want to force myself to do because I was learning at the time. The Automata stream was a big experiment. Yeah, 100% it has been affected by streaming it. Yeah, because I like even just my attention being drawn to chat. However, it hasn't been affected in a purely negative way. In fact, I would say that it has been affected in a way that is breaks neutral or might even be positive. So it is not all that simple to judge it like that. But in future, I think I could be a lot more strict with how I judge these sort of things, and that I don't allow myself to get caught up in chat's games or anything. But like I think I enjoy games a little more because I'm streaming them sometimes. So yeah, but it's definitely something that I should work on. And in any case, I always play the games twice. So if for whatever reason chat does influence me too much on the first time, the second time is always going to be the safety net there. And the second time is always when I make my most observations anyway. And to put some people at ease, like, you may think, well, chat and streaming are too disruptive and all that. Like you have to understand that every single video that I have made, like so far, well, yeah, every single video, like even the first Dark Souls video, every single video that I have made while playing the game, while making it, while editing the audio, while making notes, writing the script, editing the footage together, there have been screaming kids in the background. Or like a little sticky fingered boy coming over, and just going, like tapping on me and going because he wants something, so we're it's not like these games have been played with pristine, no distraction environments until this point, so like it, and so it's okay, it's all right. And the new schedule and everything that we set up in the new office space that we have in the bedroom right now, which is where we are right now, is working wonderfully for being more productive when it comes to video work. Like I've already played Hob again, like I've already made the Steven Sausage Roll video because there were some problems with it, and I had to pretty much make the whole thing all over again because that was supposed to be a buffer video for The Witcher. So yeah, there is changes. Some of them are negative, but some of them are positive. I would say the positives outweigh the negatives.
Will you be playing Super Mario Odyssey? Will you be doing an analysis on it?
It shows how old this question was, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yes.
See how behind we are.
Yep. Yeah, we'll be playing Super Mario Odyssey. Already have played it on stream. You can watch the VOD of it. Maybe you already have. Maybe you're here right now, David S., because you saw me streaming Nier Automata. So maybe you're in chat right now going, no one should know my name, and you're not saying it, which is fine. That's why we initialize the last name, so we're not doxing anyone. Even though I don't think anyone would care, but yeah, that's why we do it. Yeah. So yeah,
and you will be doing an analysis on it.
Yeah, definitely going to be doing a video on Super Mario Odyssey. Just out of curiosity, because I don't know why anyone would be here, but is anyone here like just found out about me tonight and is just on Twitch and is like sitting here going, who the fuck is this guy and why does he have so many questions? Because that would be really funny to me. I doubt it. I think everyone here right now has been here before and knows about all this, but that would be really funny to me. All right, we need to make a tile. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay.
No, they've all been here before.
Nope. Cool. All right, cool.
Since you like science fiction, has you or your wife ever heard of Philip K. Dick? It's the author for Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, and it's what inspired Ridley Scott to make Blade Runner the pinnacle of science fiction. Not much of a question, but really a really strong recommendation for anyone who likes science fiction.
Yeah, heard of him. I had a friend who read the book, and I wanted to read it too, but I just never got around to it. It is a book I've wanted to read for a while. I already knew that it was linked to Blade Runner. It's a very strange name. It's kind of cool. You like it just for the name, right?
I like the title, yeah.
Yeah. I haven't read it though. Sorry. so I can't really talk about it. But I would like to eventually. Yep. Found you on YouTube about a month ago and have gone back and watched all your vids. I'm now a huge fan. Mucho love. Thank you very much, Groovy Goob. That's a cool name.
I think some people are somewhat interested in making their own content on YouTube. We all know you haven't been at it super long term, but what advice that you've learned so far would you have for people that want to invest into making a YouTube channel?
Oh God. Don't listen to me. The guy I'm here just out of pure luck. I think most days that's how I feel. Just pure luck that I'm here. If I could go back in time and tell myself things, it would be to switch over to Adobe Premiere a little sooner. That's a really technical answer, but I think that the program I was using was not that great. However, I wouldn't say start with Adobe Premiere because Adobe Premiere is more complicated than the program I was using, and I needed that program in order to help teach myself and learn how to make the videos. I would not change anything else apart from saying that you really need to know what audio clipping is and make sure that your audio levels are better than mine were at the start, and that was a really big problem for me. And anyone who's played this game, by the way, I know that this is not ideal with the food right now. I'm not playing this game super seriously as I'm answering questions. I don't know if I have hiccups or what. I don't think so. I don't know what's going on right now. I'm like hiccuping, yawning or something. I don't know what's going on. I'm about to die.
Lily streams.
Lily streams. I don't know what's going on right now. Like it's not gas or anything. It's just like I'm just kind of like, I don't know, having a stroke. This is it, man. This is it. It's the end of Joe.
This is the final pinnacle question.
It's the end of Joe. You know. Yeah. Find out what audio clipping is and make sure that your videos don't have it, and that headset quality matters a lot, and some people are going to hear things that others don't. Other people are going to think that your videos are too loud. Other people are going to think they're too quiet, depending on what their headset is, and that goes for you yourself when you listen back to it. So yeah, that's important. Apart from that, just try and do shorter videos. Don't do long videos like I did. You want to get yourself out there as much as possible to just roll the dice on someone seeing your content and linking it somewhere. If you want to do long content eventually, just transition to that after you get, I'd say 20k subs. Just slowly transition to the longer stuff. Like every video you do, just add 10 minutes to it, pretty much. I think that would be a good idea.
How are you covering the Witcher books? Are they getting their own videos, or are you comparing them to the games?
I don't think that we'll be splitting any of the Witcher content out into its own video, because I think that would be kind of shit. I think that wouldn't be exciting. They're all going to be done before if I do split them, then they're all going to be done before the first one goes up anyway. So I think people would prefer it if they were just all one long video and everyone could watch, and they could just watch it whenever they want, or just watch the whole thing the first day it goes up. And I just like the idea of just after it's done, just dropping this like this 23-hour long video onto everyone. It's not going to be 23 hours long. It's going to be, I think it's going to be at least 3 hours long, probably 4 or 5, but we'll see. That I just like the idea of just dropping that and people being able to watch the whole thing. I think that would hype it up a lot more too. Maybe I'll do a trailer leading up to it. Trailer for my video. That might get hype going, right? It's a big event. It's the biggest project that I've ever done, and it might be the biggest project that I'll ever do. So I think that we should try and get some hype going on it, right? Because it's going to be a lot of work.
Mm-hmm. Trailer could be interesting.
Yeah, the trailer could be fun. Yeah, maybe we should get a trailer. But as for the books, yeah, they'll be part of it. I don't know exactly how I'm going to look at the books, because I don't even know how I'm going to. All of the points I make in videos have visual examples, and I don't know how that I'm going to have visual examples for a book. I don't know. Camera with on the page or something. I have no idea. Or something that looks the same in the game, maybe. That might work. That's gonna be a lot of work, but hey, that's the job, right? So maybe we'll do it that way, but we'll see. We'll see.
Can we have an original soundtrack for the Witcher 3 video, high budget? Or ask people to do a drawing?
You joke, but like, Mikey is sitting here right now, if he's still here, going, good idea, let's do it.
Barris M asked, hi Joseph, I've been a fan of your videos for a long time and finally decided to support the content I love financially.
Thank you very much, Barris M. Thank you.
Even at this price, it feels like a steal for the enjoyment and knowledge I receive from your videos. Keep up the great work. I've been reading your initial Q&A sessions and basing my own process on them a little bit. It made me wonder, how has your script writing and general video creation process evolved over the many months? Are there things you used to do that you now see as clear mistakes? I know you're unhappy with some of the more aggressive videos you've made in the past, but apart from that, thanks a lot. Hope life goes well for you.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, there have been some things that I didn't like before. I don't like my Darkest Dungeon video very much. I don't like my Dark Souls 2 videos very much for a different reason. I think that my Diablo video is very funny, but for the same reason that I don't like the Hearthstone video and the Darkest Dungeon video, it is too rude. It's rude. And especially, I thought this before I read this book, but especially after now reading Blood, Sweat, and Pixels, it's not fair to do what I do. And I've been saying that for a long time. It's not fair. It's not fair to come into a product and an art and judge it as harshly as I did in those videos, and just kind of like we're borderline, maybe even across the line, just insulting people. Like I think the closest I've ever gotten to that again was No Man's Sky. And I think that I towed that line a little too dangerously when it came to criticizing it and then being insulting. And I really don't want to be that person. Not even like in a professional sense. I don't want to be that person on a, like, just me. I don't want to be that person that hates on things and insults people and is like, what the fuck? How you thought this was good enough? You thought this was good enough? What the fuck? How could you possibly think that was good enough? You know, and I try to be respectful, and sometimes I still fail. There have been comments that I've said in the past that even in later videos, I think Prey got a little bit there on some stuff, like. And that's not fair, but I try. And yeah, so that's definitely something that I've changed, and I've been more conscious about that lately, to avoid being that person. And apart from that, there was a lot of the early scripts where I was less structured, and I would just start writing, and that didn't really work out all that well, as you can probably imagine. But that's what I needed to do, so I wouldn't say that's a flaw. That was a learning experience, because nonfiction writing and script writing specifically is different than fiction, and I've gotten better as a writer as I've gone along. If I went back and did more fiction writing, I think I would be pretty rusty, but I think I would be better having done a lot of this stuff with script writing. So there's that. But I think that was part of the process, and that was important. But I think I would like to have skipped that, maybe. Like, I don't know how I would skip it because I needed to do it, but yeah, there was that period where like when I wrote the Dark Souls script, the first Dark Souls script, I tried to write it in a more kind of, okay, now we're going to talk about this, now we're going to talk about that. I wanted to jump between all these things I wanted to say, and then I tried to write it, and it was awful. This is coming out terrible. And that's where I started to get into this tour-like commentary of the game. We're just going to go through the whole game, and we're just going to do it that way. And that's what I needed to do to get through those videos. And for a while, you can see me returning to that when I struggle, but now I've learned how to do things better, and I can go through games without having to resort to that and going through the game step by step, which some people love, but at the same time, it can be a little tedious. So it's not all that good. And Lily is looking at me, and I need to look at something. Oh, okay.
Sneaky Neek. Thank you to Sneaky Neek, who just subscribed. And thank you to Vincent95, who just subscribed.
Thank you to Sneaky Neek and Vincent95. Thank you very much, guys. Or girls. Guys and girls. Guys is gender neutral to me, but it isn't to everyone, so I always try to say... Or should I say that every single time I say guys? So I should just stop saying it, right? I should just say guys and girls.
Try not to, I guess, yeah.
Dude and dudes is gender neutral to me as well.
You done with that question, right?
I think so. I think that, like, well, there's part of it that said, are there things you used to do that you now see as clear mistakes? I'm trying to think. There have been times where I've said something and I haven't provided enough evidence for it. That's a clear mistake, but it's not... Like, I probably just was blind to it at the time, or I kind of just glossed over something. But there have been times where it's like... I've written something and I've just known in my gut that someone's gonna take it the wrong way, and that's some I can already envision the YouTube comment saying, you know, how can you possibly say this, you fucking stupid inbred asshole. You know, that's how like vitriolic some of these commenters are. How can you possibly think that when they've just misunderstood me or took it in the wrong way? Or maybe they're just willfully doing it in the wrong way, but that's how I can envision it as I'm writing it, and I know as I'm writing it, or as I'm editing the audio, I should really add a line that says, I don't mean it this way. And there have been some times where I've just thought, you know, like, nah, let's trust them. No one's gonna take it that way. It's fine. And then lo and behold, you know, a week after the video goes live, there's the comment, you know, and I'm like, fuck, you know, like I should have added the qualifier. But then if I did that for everything, like would the video really have been better? Probably not. It would have avoided that comment, but that's only one comment. Whereas if I add qualifiers to everything, suddenly that's bogging the video down, and it's not great, right? So maybe it's fine. Maybe that's not a clear mistake. But there have been times like that, you know, where it's just like, yeah, I'm gonna get into shit for this one, you know, like. There have been times I've said stuff on stream that I've been like, yeah, I say it comes out of my mouth, and I'm like, I really shouldn't have said that, you know, like, so, yeah, not great. So what I'm doing right here, by the way, is I'm putting the polluted dirt in this storage compactor, and then I'm filling it up, and then I'm taking away the floor, and then I'm rejecting everything so it falls down into this chamber where this little hatch thing will eat it, so it stops producing polluted air and it poops out coal, because they'll eat anything. Yeah, and I think that's the end of the question for Barris M. So let's get 3 questions from chat. If there are.
Don't click the link, okay? Just in case it fucks up something. Don't click the link.
What link?
He's trying to deal with it. I've got a mod on it.
Got a mod on it.
The only qualifier I think you need is a distinction between critique and review. I enjoy your critiques because they focus on how you felt about the experience of the game and not how the game works mechanically.
Okay.
Don't you think you should focus on older games to make videos on? I mean, years later, when the dust settles, you can see which games are truly remembered with all the hype gone and critique them, instead of just whatever is hype at the moment. I know you need to think about YouTube views, but maybe as Patreon grows, you would care less about that. I say this because I think your channel is a timeless contribution to video games as an art form.
See, I don't think the channel is timeless. Thank you for saying so, but I really don't think it is. I was speaking about this earlier. I think that video game criticism, just like video games itself, is in such an infancy that what I'm doing is going to be very, you know, very rudimentary in years to come. But maybe I'm wrong, and thank you for saying so. Hopefully I can get better as time goes on. You are right that you can judge things a little better when it comes to older games. Yeah, you do have a point, but I think that part of being a good critic is being able to try to get better to judge things as they come out and on your own. Like you need to get good at judging things while they're relevant, and you can always go back to them later and you can judge them a second time, like I kind of did with Fallout 4, but even that was close to release. You do have a point, though. I would like to do some older games. I have a lot to say on some older games, but at the moment, it's newer games that interest me the most, and they are getting a lot more attention, a lot more clicks, and I think there's going to be a change when we move for that kind of thing. Because right now, I've said this before on one of the first streams, so I haven't said it for a while, so there's probably not many people or anyone who was there for the first streams that heard me say this. When I started writing on Amazon, the books did very, very well. Very well. The Wizard and the Dragon, for as shit as the cover is for that book, because I made it myself with some royalty-free images, I know it's shit. The new one's way better. There's a new cover already, which we'll get with the physical release. I made that cover by myself. Like for as shit as that cover is, and as flawed as my first novel ever is, that book sold so many copies that it was in the top 300, I think, the top 300 on Amazon, on Amazon's bestsellers list. The whole store, not just Kindle, the whole store. It was top, wasn't it 250, something like that?
Something like it was right under
239 or something. It was something ridiculous like that. But let's say top 300 just to be safe, or top 500 just to be safe. The whole store, like not just self-published, not just Kindle, the whole store, physical books too, and it was in the top 100 fantasy list, right below Game of Thrones. That's how high that book got, with that shitty cover and some flawed writing. That's how well the writing was doing when we first started on Amazon. Lily's book did really well too.
I don't know if mine went that high.
It
but
got really high.
Mine was in the top 500.
It got really high. Like my book was like right there next to like the Hitchhiker's Galaxy. You know, like that's how high it got. You know, like that's a real book. That's a real book. You know, like and it was there. You know, like it was like George R.R. Martin. You know, Douglas Adams, and then who the fuck is Joseph Anderson? You know, that's how high it got. And then all of a sudden, Amazon changed their algorithm and their promotion of self-published books to push what people are subscribing with now, Amazon Prime. You can read my books for free through Amazon Prime, and I get paid per page read. And they wanted to push that instead of pushing them as traditional book sales, which is fine. That's Amazon has every right to do that. But you have to understand that just completely killed sales. Completely killed. In the space of a month, we went from selling that amount to selling like 10 books. So why is this relevant to YouTube and doing older games? Because that was a great opportunity, and if we had gotten into it a year earlier, there wouldn't be a channel. I would be a writer still, because I would have had an established audience with an extra year to do all of that, with how Amazon was putting self-published books right next to normal books. And maybe you're right. Maybe you're thinking, okay, well, self-published books shouldn't be next to normal books. That's definitely a fair interpretation of those rules. Maybe it was a good change, but
we got screwed.
The result is that we got screwed from what how the system worked before. But you know, that's life. But the thing that still is there is that I look at that as a massive missed opportunity, and I look at that and I think I wish that I had pushed harder, pushed faster, written more books, and really capitalized on that opportunity. And that's exactly how I still feel about the YouTube channel. I feel every single day I wake up and I think, this is going to get ripped out away from me. Every single morning, without exception. Every single morning I wake up, and sometimes it's only a tiny little part of me. Other times it's a big part of me because of imposter syndrome and all that. I go to my computer when I wake up, and I fully expect that it's going to be, YouTube has deleted your channel. We're no longer promoting your content. Patreon is gone, and everyone hates you. That's how I feel. Every single morning when I wake up, there's a little bit. Sometimes, like I said, sometimes it's a tiny little bit. Other times it's a lot, and that's mostly because of what happened on Amazon. And so I look at that and I think I need to do everything that I possibly can to capitalize on this opportunity while being respectful and doing the best thing that I can on the channel, make the best content that I can as quickly as I can, as much as I can, put as many hours as I possibly can put into it, just in case it gets stripped away, because we need to get enough money saved up for the kids so they'll be fine for life, and we need to move out of this apartment and get a house. We need to own property.
We've outgrown this apartment in a big way.
That's the goal. That's what has to happen. And until that happens, like it's just nonstop, hit it as hard as you can. Like you cannot stop. I work so many hours a week because of that fear, and there is nothing that anyone can tell me to make me stop doing that. There's nothing that anyone could tell me because of the kids, because the kids need that, and I can't stop myself doing that. I'm not saying this for anyone to feel sorry for me. I'm not saying, I know that it's probably unreasonable. I absolutely know 100% that it's unreasonable, but that is how I feel, and there's nothing that anyone could tell me to make me feel otherwise, because I can't risk it for my kids. I just can't risk it. So that's how I feel about it, and that's when it comes down to taking risks on older games. And it's like, yeah, I would love to do that. I would love to, take a break. Or not work 60 to 70 hours this week, just take a day off, like that sort of thing. And I can't, because it might get, because I have a complex of it being ripped away, and then and then my kids will be like, well, why are we still stuck in this apartment? Why are we still here? So I know that that's not reasonable. I know, and again, I want to stress, I'm not saying it so anyone feels sorry for me. It's my own psychological problem. I know it's all on me, but that's how I feel, and there's no getting away from that for me, because it happened before, and that is way more reasonable happening on Amazon than it happened on YouTube. I can understand that. It's like a phobia. It's like being afraid of going in the pool, and you could understand, hey, nothing bad's gonna happen to you. It's just water. You know how to swim. Whatever your problem is with going in the pool. And so everyone can tell you, hey, like it's gonna be fine, and you don't care because it's not about logic. It's not about being rational. It's just something that's in you and you can't get rid of it. Sorry that went on for so long, but yeah, that's part of it. He understands.
The person who asked the question understands.
Cool. Sorry for going on and on about that.
Off5, I think that's how you say it, right? Off5, not Al5. I think you told me it was like all like Australia before. Tried to delete and ban, but they already deleted their account, so there is no account to ban or delete. So they're suggesting that maybe you make it subs only. People can post links because they can't get rid of it now.
What happened?
Someone posted a link from a twerking link that looked like spam or looked like a virus.
But the person who did that was a sub. I saw it. So sub only isn't going to do it.
You sure?
Yeah, it was Al.
Oh, they are a sub, right?
Alina Balo 85. Their girl just twerking off on Twitch. What the fuck with the image shed link? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a Twitch Prime sub.
So we're just stuck with it then.
Yeah. Why can't you remove this message?
They said that they tried to remove it and the account has been deleted.
The account has been deleted.
So there's nothing to delete. Like they can't delete it because it's already doesn't exist.
Okay. How can I've never done anything in chat before like this. I don't know how to do that. Maybe I need mod tools on. Mod icons. Ban timeout. What? Why is it stuck on ban and timeout? Where's the just remove? Yeah, I don't have it either. That's kind of weird. Shit. I don't know why that's there. Maybe it's something to do with Twitch beta or something. Who knows? Oh, I got a 1,000-bit cheer from Iflindove. 1,000 bits toward the house. Not feeling sorry for you, by the way. Just fully approve of house buy. Thank you so much. Thank you. Isn't the Twitch Prime logo mean you have Twitch Prime and not that you subbed for this specific channel? Yeah, maybe that's it. Yeah, I think you're right. Twitch Prime and then subscriber next to it. Okay, that's what you mean. Okay, yeah, I'll change it so only subs can post links. That's probably a good stopgap.
Yeah, they really tried. Thank you for trying. Like, they've been trying the whole time you've been talking. They've been trying to ban.
I think even I can't remove it. So there must be something up with Twitch or something up with the chat right now. Sorry about that.
He says they were banned the other day as well. This is a bot that has been posting links in the stream for the past week or so. We've been on top of it until now.
Okay, cool. Thank you, mods. Like, yeah, this is.
I think there's only one mod in here right now, so thank you for dealing with that.
If you're a mod and this is not your usual time and you just showed up, like don't feel pressured to hang around, okay? Like I can like ban people if they're gone bad. Like don't feel pressured that you have to like do this. Like it is an impromptu stream. But thank you.
About the Twitch link issue, you can have a bot auto ban all links, and then mods can manually check them and unban them for all to see.
That would probably be good if mods are willing to do that. Yeah, that might be good.
Mods can permit links to non-subs anyway.
Cool. That's probably a good compromise. Okay.
Oh, so it's actually Aussie. It's not like the 5 is an
S.
S.
Oh, it's just Aussie? Yeah, sometimes people use numbers for letters.
Oh, yeah. That's so much easier then. I'll remember that now.
Aussie.
What do you think is the downside and upside of video games versus movies and books? Do you think Soma fails as a video game but would be much better as a book? You touched briefly on this in your video, but I can't remember what you said. So answer this one and then we have to go back to Patreon.
Frosted Bricks busting out the questions tonight, yeah? Like, holy shit. Some tough questions from Frosted Bricks. Downside and upside of video games versus videos and books is that the downside is that it is extremely difficult to have any sort of control on pacing. It is very, 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 very difficult, arguably impossible to control the pacing of a story, and especially when it comes to, I would say, horror games and comedy, pacing is everything. So it is even suspense. Pacing is everything. Pacing is arguably the most important thing. So yeah, that's one of the massive downsides to it. Massive, massive, massive downsides. The upside is that you can have interactivity and you can make it so instead of this being, you know, this it's the character that's feeling this way. It is you that is feeling this way, and that's powerful. There's a lot of strength in that. But everyone focuses on interactivity when there's also with choice, when interactivity can also mean something else. There's no choice in one of the best scenes in Edith Finch, but it's still more powerful because it's interactive. The story can react to what you're doing, but there's more strength than just that, and that's very difficult to do. So that could be argued it's a downside as well, because it's just so expensive to make different reactions to everything that the player can do. There's another strength of video games in video game storytelling, but I can't really think of it right now. It's one that I spoke about in a prior Q&A, but I can't think of it right now. So I'm gonna have to probably get back to you, or if it comes to me, I'll answer it again. It's strong, but I can't think of it at the moment. But your other question was, do you think Soma Fails as a video game, but would be much better as a book? You touched briefly on this in the video, but I can't remember what you said. Yeah, I don't think it would be better as a book. It might be good as a movie, but it won't be as good, because there are moments that are made stronger because you're in control and you have a reference point, and not because it's interactive, but because you're experiencing it instead of just it happening to a character on the screen, and that makes it stronger for that reason. I can't spoil Soma in this chat because some people might not have played it, but I think if you've played it, you know what I'm talking about. There are a couple moments that are much stronger because of that.
Ozzy's trying something out.
Ozzy's trying?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And yeah, I'm not on the Discord. I'm kind of an honorary mod, so don't really count me as a mod. I don't really do mod things. I just answer the questions and welcome people. So
chat is being muted now and timed out. Is this just a test? You're just testing on people?
He warned. He asked if people would volunteer.
Okay, cool. All right.
To check something. How many if people wanted to be mods, where can they message you about that? Or is it on
you can message me on Twitter. Message me on Twitter if you want to be a mod. But I have to ask the mod team that we currently have if they even want more mods. Which might be yes. But I think we have 10, don't we?
Something like that. Again, with all the kind of honorary ones that you
there's also a mod chat on Discord that you would want to be a part of. So if you want to be a mod, you have to have Discord as well. So that's a requirement pretty much. So you can talk to people in Discord about it. And let's go to Patreon now.
Errol M asked, or Errol, I think it's Errol.
I think it's Errol, yeah.
Hello, Anderson. Been a viewer for 4 to 5 months, I believe. Keep up the good work.
Thanks.
I recall reading that you found The Lord of the Rings boring because it focused too much on world building. Can you name any examples of games, movies, books that handled world building the right way, and why?
Oh, wow. That's a tough question. I do want to say that when I read Lord of the Rings, I was young, and I still would probably stand by what I said about it. So I'm not backtracking on what I said, but I do want to say that it is possible that I just was too young to fully appreciate it. So don't 100% think that it's right. I haven't read those books or tried to read those books in a long time. So yeah. So this comes back to a question that someone said earlier about the Shandification video that Mr. Beatong did and what games do it well. But you also asked about videos and books, right? Movies and books. So world building is tricky because it takes a lot of work. I've done it myself. There's a whole map in my head of the fantasy world that I built. There's a star map of the sci-fi world that I built for Bounty Hunter. And there's names of planets, systems. There's names of different countries in the fantasy world. There's like what their cultures are like, what the people are like, what the weather is like, what their history is like, all those things. And doing that sort of stuff is a perfect way to not write. that is just a wonderful way to just not write. And writers hate writing. They hate writing. Every writer will tell you that. If a writer ever tells you that they love writing, they're a fucking liar, and you know that they're a liar because they're a writer. So, yeah, they're a fucking liar. Writing is terrible. Writing is absolutely awful. Writing is is just a period of self-imposed madness, is what I call it. That's how bad writing is. One of the best things in the world, though, is having written. It's great to have written. It's awful to write, but it's wonderful to have written. So that's why writing is so good. And world building and planning and quote unquote research by reading other things and you know, writers have to talk to people because they need to have good at conversation. So hey, by going out to the bar tonight, I'm researching for my book. You know, it's so easy to fall into those traps. But anyway, the point I'm getting to is that world building is so much time and takes so much time and takes up and can be so engrossing because it's so easy compared to actually writing because no one's ever going to read it, that you start to think, hey, all this work, this can just be part of the book, and I'm just going to add this to the book, and wouldn't it be great if this Wikipedia tier definition of, you know, the shoes that they wear and who gives a fuckistan is that, you know, how many straps are on the sandals? Hey, what's the weather like? How coarse is the sand in on the beaches of totally not England? You know what I mean? Like it's so easy to fall into those traps, and you start putting it in the book and it starts supplementing the story. So the best world building is invisible. The best world building is when you have all these details and you are really stingy about dripping them out. That's when world building is done really, really well. I think world building was done wonderfully in the Farseer books that Robin Hobb did. That's my favorite fantasy series, and it's for that reason because, like I said, it's dripped out. I don't think there was ever a point where it's just kaboom exposition. You know how like in the Ace Eternity games, it's objection, it's exposition, and it's just like kaboom, here's all this shit, and it's like, oh man, who cares? You know, like there's a page early on in the Chronicles of Amber by Roger Zelazny that does this both well and terribly, where the main character finds a deck of cards, and I think it's a deck of cards, or it might be a deck of tarot cards, and he opens them up, and each of the cards is a description and name of all of the main characters in the book. That they're like on the tarot cards. It shows like their what they look like, and it's just like seriously 7 straight paragraphs of kaboom, 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 what all these characters look like and what they're capable of. And that's both terrible. It's both great and terrible, because it's terrible because it's like, holy shit, who cares? This is so early on in the story. I have no idea who these people are. But it's also really great because later on, when you get to meet these characters, you can just switch real quick to that page and just like, okay, refresh myself. It's all on that one page. I don't have to worry about where it was or anything like that. So that's
cheat sheet.
That's pretty good. Yeah, like a cheat sheet. Yeah. That's pretty good. Apart from that, I think the world building in that book is actually pretty good. So as for movies and TV shows, that would probably be a bit harder. World building is done fairly well in all of them, so they don't have this problem of overwhelming you. So really, it's all about how interesting it is. So I'm trying to think of what I've watched, or a movie or a TV show that has had great world building, and I'm really struggling to think of any ones that are kind of otherworldly. Like, most of the TV shows I watch are based on Earth.
Once Upon a Time.
Once Upon a Time. No, that's not good world building. No, that's all fantasy stories and stuff. Fairy tales.
It bounces back between the two worlds.
Firefly has great world building. I thought Firefly had great world building. Mass Effect has great world building. You can take it as you go on that too. That's a video game with good world building. I really like Dragon Age Origins. I thought that had a compelling area, and you could take it as much as you, or as little as you want. I think, despite having shit on it, I think the Lord of the Rings Middle Earth is good as long it's just presented poorly, just presented very poorly. I think Fallout is very interesting, but it's not. It's kind of been butchered lately. Elder Scrolls is not really that interesting to me, unfortunately, as world building. What science fiction shows have I done? Star Trek is fairly interesting, but I haven't watched it enough. I cannot think of a good fantasy TV show right now. I cannot think of a single good fantasy TV show. I guess the TV show of Game of Thrones does it better than the book. I think that's a thing. I think that Game of Thrones does it better. Yeah, sorry, I can't really answer any more than that. Yeah.
Have you played Divinity Original Sin, and if so, what did you think of the combat system?
I haven't. Sorry, I haven't played them. They get suggested a lot on stream, so I might play them eventually. But yeah, I haven't played them. Sorry, so I can't comment on that, unfortunately.
Ricket Racket doesn't have Twitter. Can they email you about being a mod, or is there another way they can contact you for anybody here who wants to be a mod but doesn't have Twitter?
You don't have Twitter. How do you tweet? Not having Twitter in 2017. How do you let people know how much you don't like Trump? How do you let people know what you had for breakfast? How do you function? You can message me on the Discord. You can message me on the Discord. That would be enough. Yeah.
You might not be looking for any, but in the event that you are, there are people here that are interested.
Yep. Go with the Discord instead of Twitter. That's almost as good, really. Yep. Tweeting is for squares.
Since you're discussing world building in games, where do you make the distinction between the main story thread, side content, and lore and history? What is the balance you prefer when playing a game?
Oh, that's a tough question. That's a tough question. Yeah, now we're gonna talk about Dark Souls. Dark Souls makes this mistake a lot, or you know what? I don't even think Dark Souls makes the mistake. I think fans of Dark Souls make this mistake, and they mistake lore for story. Lore is not story. World building is not story. It can be interesting. It can contain stories. It can be like you can hear about the history and you can hear about these legendary people, and it can be interesting. It can be great, but that's not a story. You know, like picking up a knife that you found on some dead corpse in the middle of a dungeon, and it says, you know, it gives you like one paragraph of some sort of history. That's not a story. That's flavor. That's lore. That's where I draw the line. I think that stuff can be great. I think it can be really cool, but it's not a story, and that's where I would draw the line. I prefer stories. I don't really care enough about these things, but I am very biased because this is going to sound so arrogant, but it's linked to what I said earlier about storytelling in video games. Video game storytelling and writing is not taken seriously enough, in my opinion, and it is so bad that I just don't pay attention half the time. I just do not pay attention. It's like I've already decided pretty much that it's gonna be shit. So I that's awful of me. I know it is, but like a game has to kind of prove to me or be made by a developer that has proven already that they do care for me to go into a game caring enough to read item descriptions and read every diary and everything like that. I will pay attention to any game's main story, and if that gets good enough quality that that it seems like it's good enough for me, that I will look into the optional content. But until that moment, I just don't care. Like it's I've been burned way too many times on that. Way too many fucking times where I'm just like so into it, and then they'll do something that completely contradicts it, like, oh well, in this world there's teleportation just doesn't exist, and then in the next game, oh yeah, people can teleport now, who gives a fuck. In this world there are no cats, and then the next game everyone has a cat. Oh shit, yeah, we forgot that line that we thought was cool at the time, that there's no cats, but hey, now there are cats. Sorry, you know, like retcon, like it's just I just don't care, you know, like and that's a flaw of mine, and I'm sorry, but yeah, I just can't do it.
Gotled or Gottlied 2326 just subscribed. Thank you.
I think it's Gotled. Thank you very much, Gotled.
Could go either way.
Thank you for the sub. Patreon questions. Yeah, we're doing the Patreon Q&A live on Twitch, instead of writing it all out, as an experiment to see if this is acceptable to patrons, because the written Q&A is taking too much time. And I am already dreading having to go through this and go get the timestamps. But hey, we'll make it happen.
Okay, let's do this one because this one looks long.
Mika W or Mitcha W? I think
Mika.
It's Mika, right?
Hey Joe, first time poster here, massive fan. I'll start my very first question off with a doozy.
Oh
I
no.
pray it doesn't violate the too personal rule. Thank you so much for taking the time
Oh,
to
I
answer
just read it.
these.
Oh no.
Well, we don't have to answer
Oh
it.
no.
And
What
I
have
don't
you?
think we're going to
I
answer
can't believe you've done this. Okay, brace
Hold on, I'm not done reading it.
yourself for this question, chat.
Thank you so much for taking the time to answer these. I apologize for including questions within questions, but they're all sort of about the same thing, so I hope you don't mind.
Yeah, I don't mind, and I'm sorry to kind of ham it up a little bit, but yeah, I'm just reacting to it live on stream. Sorry about that. That might be a little crude of me, but yeah, your questions are valid.
What are your general thoughts on religion? Has religion had much of an impact in your life? Do you identify with any established organized religions and their belief structures? Since you seem so analytical and skeptical in your videos, I feel like atheism, or at least agnosticism, would be most logically matched with your personality type, but people have often surprised me. Have you ever had any experiences that you would call spiritually enlightening or even divine? Bizarre coincidences would count here, I suppose, but that's more relating to synchronicity. And I'm not quite sure if that is its own religion. Now for a simpler question.
Okay, so that's the lead up to question number 2. Okay, I'm not religious at all. You are pretty much on the money with when it comes to atheist or agnostic. I think I am probably agnostic. I don't think I am full on atheist. I think that it kind of defies human nature to be full-on atheist. And I know that might sound really weird and maybe even a little edgy, but I feel like human nature and human perception is very focused on this idea that things have to have a beginning and an end, a beginning, middle, and an end. And that's just not possible. It's like the universe is completely stands against that, because the universe has to have had a beginning. Has had to have always been here. You know, like you can say the Big Bang happened. Okay, well, there's always okay, well, what happened before the Big Bang? Okay, well, it was just a random event. Something happened, or everything was in this really hot, dense kind of like the size of like a molecule or whatever, and then it blasted out. Whatever the current consensus is. Okay, well, what happened before that? Where did that come from? We don't know. Okay, well, let's say we find out one day. It was, you know. God farted it out, you know, like it's a little shit nugget by God, and that boom, Big Bang, and God just doesn't care about us. It was just a complete accident. Okay, well, where did God come from? Okay, well, God came from an egg. Okay, well, where did the egg come from? And it just keeps going back, and like so eventually you have to get to the point where, like, there is no beginning, because there can't be, because you can't get something from nothing. You just can't. The only way you can get something from nothing is because you needed something to be the reference in relativity to compare against nothing. There can't be nothing without something. Therefore, when there was nothing, there had to be something. So there could be nothing. Like, you know, like that. So I think that you can't. That's a human thing, that everything has a beginning and an end, and the universe just stands with its arms crossed, going "fuck you." No, it doesn't. And I think us as humans, we can't comprehend that. It's just impossible for us to comprehend it. So I think that's why you have a lot of people like that even are smart still look to something like God and think, okay, yeah, there must be something out there. And wouldn't it be just great? Wouldn't it be great if there was? Wouldn't it be great if you died? And I need to finish that sentence. Wouldn't it be great if you died and like there was something? Like that you are so sure, because I'm sure there's nothing after death. I'm pretty much sold on that idea. But wouldn't it be great if I was wrong? Wouldn't it be great if you died and there was just like someone that you loved in your life that just like reaches out of this like white light, because we're going full cliche, and was like, hey, welcome, you know? Like wouldn't that be just fucking fantastic? Like that would be wonderful. Really, that would be wonderful.
That's why we always say that we don't really believe that there's anything after, but we wish that we're wrong.
Yeah. Like it would be fantastic.
We hope that we're wrong.
But I think even the staunchest atheist has something inside of them that doesn't. I'm not saying they all secretly believe in God. I'm not saying that, because when it comes to the agnostic scale, I'm closer to atheist than theism. I'm just saying that there's something inside of them that must look at the universe and go, that doesn't make sense. There's something there that doesn't make sense, and I think that's where a lot of religion comes from. Religion has not influenced me much at all. Some of my family was religious, but they weren't really into it. It hasn't been really a big sticking point for me. My mother was against it all, and for whatever reason, I was the first one in the family that was never christened. Because my mother made it that way. So yeah, so that's it. And I think that's all I'm comfortable saying on religion. I'm sorry. I don't want to shit on anyone's belief structure. I think that believing in a higher power and believing in things is wonderful, as long as you actually don't infringe on the rights of anyone else and you're not imposing it on anyone else. I think that's a wonderful thing. And in some days I am envious that people can believe in that and get some measure of peace from that, and other days I think that it is really destructive and it's worth more. It's more trouble than it's worth, and that's all I'm comfortable saying on religion.
I saw you answer this in your very first Q&A, but I wanted to ask about more specific details. I'm a diehard Game of Thrones TV show fanboy, and I'm just getting into the books now, loving the first 200 pages of book 1 that I'm currently at. Can you identify what aspects of the book you found poorly handled? You used the word bloated about them. Is that because of having too many characters, you think? I found that the sheer number of them adds to the realism of the story's universe, like this is a world that doesn't just exist in a vacuum, but is actively unfolding somewhere. Did you think the book was badly paced at all? I'd just love to hear your official review of book 1 overall. You think you'll ever give the series another chance? Side note, you think Martin will ever release Winds of Winter, or has he secretly given up? Unless book 6 is 4,000 pages, he probably only averages like half a page per day, right?
Yeah, I don't think Martin is actually writing it. I don't think that's something that's happening. To be a writer, you need to be writing every single day. You need to be into it every single day. You need to be motivated. You need to be like, fuck yeah, I get to wake up and I get to write. You're not gonna like that every single day, but you have to be really into it. And Martin has all of the classic telltale symptoms of someone that is just not writing regularly.
Even if he isn't writing regularly, like he's not writing at all really.
Yeah,
like that's
yeah. I think that he is just enjoying his
too long.
his unofficial retirement and enjoying all the money that he has right now. Because dude's pretty old. He's pretty old. Like I don't wish death on him. I don't think he's gonna die anytime soon. Watch at the end of the stream. It's gonna be on the top of Reddit. George R. Martin died after I said that, but it's gonna be. I think he's earned the right to enjoy it, and he can do whatever the fuck he wants. But I do think that it's a little shitty to not finish the book. I read an article written by Neil Gaiman that he said, entitled, I think it was quite a bold title. It was George R. R. Martin doesn't owe you anything, bitch. I think that's what he called it. He even apologized for calling it that. He was like, I'm sorry to get inflammatory, but this is what I'm calling it. And I disagree with him. Now, you may say I'm a hypocrite because I have unfinished series 2. Like, I am sitting on 2 unfinished book series. Like, my fantasy series isn't done and my sci-fi series isn't done. And I have quite a few pages left to do in the fantasy series particularly. But the difference between me and George R. R. Martin is that I can't afford to write it. Whereas he has, like, he has more money than most writers will even like see. Never mind, like, hold. Like more money than anyone else. That he can do whatever he wants, you know, like he has that, like, and he's not writing it. And I think that when, like, Neil Gaiman's argument was that when you buy a book, you're buying that book, and you're not buying anything else. You're not buying like the next book. You're not entitled to the next book. And I think that is true, except for when you call your book a series. When you call your book a series and you say book 1 of, you have a responsibility to write book 2 of, and book 3 of, and book 4 of, and all those other ones. I think you are now responsible for doing that, and there's no getting around that for me. That's how I feel. Do I think he's ever going to finish it? I think that we might see the next book, but I don't think we're seeing the one after that. And the way that he is kind of like, nah, I won't let anyone write it. I don't think that's going to hold up. I think that he'll cave, or they'll find some loophole that someone else will write it if he dies before he gets to finish it. That's how I feel about that. So, yeah, as for the book itself, your question about why I didn't like the book, yeah, too bloated, too many characters. I definitely understand what you're saying, though, that it does add some credibility to the world and makes it more believable that there are all these characters and all these perspectives. But I find it very hard to keep track of names in books. especially a lot of names that sound the same, like in fantasy worlds. That's why I like the show better, because I don't need to remember names, I just need to remember faces. And that's why it works so much better on the TV show for me, because I don't need to remember what the fuck his name is. I just know, hey, it's that guy that looks like that. You know, there's the guy. Yeah, I know him. I know his story. He's the one that really wants to bang Queen Dragon, and she's not letting him. You know, I know him. I don't need to know his name. And that's it. You know what I mean? Like that's so much better. But that's not what I meant when I said bloated. The characters don't really bother me that much. It's the amount of just like, hey, now we're gonna talk about this, and this happened here, and we're just let's talk about what's happening in the dining room. You know, what are we eating? Oh, what was the trip like? And Arya is running through the city, and she's going through this like dark room, and I'm just gonna vaguely describe it, even though I just got done describing so much other shit that doesn't really matter. But during this chase scene, I'm not even gonna tell you what's going on. Like, oh, now she's suddenly in a room with a bunch of dragon skeletons, and it's like, wait, what? Like, it's just like I found it very. It was vague when it should have been specific, and it was specific when it should have been vague. That I think that's the best way to sum it up. I do want to try it again. I got about I think 4/5 of the way through it before I just put it down and just never picked it up again. And I feel bad about that, because it is such a prominent series. And again, I'm not saying that my books are fucking stellar, great stuff. Okay, like I'm not saying that. Like, George R. R. Martin is a better writer than I am. It's just that's how I felt as a reader. And I think that's it, right? Was there anything else about it?
No.
Badly paced, yeah, probably badly paced, yeah. Night, Ozzy. Thank you for modding.
Thank you for everything. And thank you to chat for not going nuts over the religious talk. That's
yeah, thank you very much.
That's impressive to me.
Oh, we only have one question left. Oh, that's it. Oh, and it's an easy one too. We're done. Yeah, that's not a long one. Okay, let's have 3 questions from chat, and then we'll answer the Patreon one, and then we'll get another 3 questions from chat, and then we'll call it a night, because this question is going to be a very short answer, because I haven't played this game that he's talking about. Honestly, I think Game of Thrones is garbage. I've never understood what people like about it. It says Black Sheepwall. I think the show has got some really cool moments, but I would hate to watch that show week to week. I think if you binge that show season by season, I think it's really great. I think it's a lot better. Excuse me, I think it's a lot better that way.
Would you like my money through Twitch or Patreon?
Oh, whichever one is better for you, and thank you for the consideration. Whichever one's easier for you. I get more of it through Patreon, but you get more. Well, it depends on what the tier is. You get, like, on Patreon, you can get your name in the credits, and I don't know what the $3 reward tier is going to be after this Patreon Q&A gets gutted, or it'll be guaranteed answers, I guess. On that'll be the $3 pledge tier. But on Twitch, you get like the emotes, and you get to have the Twitch badge.
No ads, right?
And no ads, right? So you might get more benefit out of Twitch. You might get more benefit out of Patreon. I get more of it through Patreon, but that's not the answer that you should go for. You should go for whatever you want to do. And thank you for the consideration. Don't feel it like pressure, like you have to do it now. Like it's like if you want to, that's up to you. Thank you for the consideration.
Martin's work didn't give you a good experience.
Yeah, pretty much.
Have you read The Wheel of Time? Thoughts on that, for lack of better words, monster of a series?
I've read the first 4 books in Wheel of Time, and I feel very similar to it as I do with Game of Thrones. I think a lot of fantasy has that problem, and I write my fantasy specifically to not have that problem. I write my fantasy and sci-fi to be very, very quick. I try not to dwell on a lot of details that a lot of fantasy and sci-fi writers really delve into. A lot of people don't like that about my books, but I try to be very, like, just kaboom, kaboom, kaboom. I don't worry about describing how people look a lot, because I think that most people immediately have a picture of their head as soon as they hear their character's name. They're like, I think he looks like that, and that's it. And there's nothing I say that is ever going to change that as soon as they hear the character's name and the vague kind of what they do. Like that's it. I can't change it. That's how I view, because that's how I read. And maybe a lot of people aren't like that, but that's how I feel. And so I don't get bogged down on a lot of details, and I try to avoid that. And that a lot of people hate my books because of that. They hate them, but a lot of people also like them for that. They find it refreshing that I don't get bogged down in a lot of details like that.
Combat Rabbit is going to support you on Patreon, $5. Thank you very much.
Cool, thanks Combat Rabbit. And thank you to Conradin07 for subscribing. Right? Conradin, thank you.
How important do you think it is to consume things people consider to be seminal works in the medium, such as film school making you study Battleship Potemkin or read Shakespeare, etc.?
Does film school make you do that? I've never seen that before. Well, I think everyone, no exception, should at least give Shakespeare a try. Because it is insane how much Shakespeare has influenced society, because you can think of it as we are what we think and how we interact and how we speak to each other. That is a large part of how we are as a society, and the phrases we use and the words that we use and the terms that we use are a large part of that, and so many of them came from Shakespeare. It is honestly ridiculous how many of them came from Shakespeare. But I don't think anyone should be forced to do it, or be strongly nudged into doing it through school, because school ruins it, man. School ruins it. I've gone on rants about Hamlet before. Maybe not on stream, but maybe I have once or twice. Like, Hamlet is incredible. Hamlet is just fucking phenomenal, and not even high school could ruin Hamlet. And
it ruined it for me.
It ruined it for you?
Yeah.
It couldn't ruin it for me.
I want to like it, but reading it aloud like that in class, I was more concerned on saying it wrong than I was on what was actually being said.
Having like a shit ton, like having like 35 bored fucking like teenagers that would rather be doing anything else, sitting there kind of reading out in more monotone than I read my scripts, is just like just kills it. And you're not even supposed to read it. You're supposed to watch it. Like there are. Like there's one of Shakespeare's plays that is not only meant to be watched, but it's also meant to be performed by an all-male cast, even the female characters. Like, because that was the whole joke that he was doing, is that at the time only men could be actors. So the fact that the female actors are men dressed in drag at the time, there's lines that only make sense if you're watching it and it's a man dressed as a woman. Like it's like that you're not meant to fucking read it, you know? Like and here you are, high school, like the introduction to arguably the most influential man that has ever lived, and to be or not to be, that is the question. Oh, did the bell ring yet? I wonder.
Out, damn spot.
Yeah.
What was it?
I hardly knew ye. I wonder if I'm gonna get laid finally tonight. When I'm hungry. When am I going home? You know, like that's the kind of mindset that these people are in. But I think it is important to do that, and especially when they're so influential.
Thank you to Jammin' Jamo.
Jammin'. Whoa.
You went up. Go down.
Jammin' Jamo.
Yeah.
Jammin' Jamo. Thank you for the subscription, Jammin' Joe. Jammin'. Oh my God. It's time to go to bed. Jammin' Jamo. Do you want to take the subscription back now that we've fucked your name so many times? Holy shit, I'm sorry. Okay, let's get 2 more questions, and then we'll let's answer the last Patreon question, and then we'll take some more questions.
Edward T. asked, only have the one question this month. What's your opinion on Davy Redden's Stanley Parable, The Beginner's Guide work?
I have no opinion on it because I haven't played them, so I cannot comment on them. Sorry. They're recommended a lot. I will probably get to them eventually. I would like to. I've heard great things, but I haven't played them. The only thing I think I've seen of Stanley Parable was some Game Grumps thing or Steam Train thing. They made a part of the game that was just for them, and it said their names in it, and they freaked out. I saw that because I thought it was cool. I don't really watch Game Grumps. I have nothing against them. It's just not something that I do. But yeah, I think that's the only thing I know about it. Maybe I played the demo of Stanley Parable, but yeah, I don't know enough about it. I'm sorry, Edward T. That's how the questions go sometimes. So I cannot comment. But if I do play it, it'll probably be on stream. So if you want to look out for the stream date, it'll happen on stream, I think. So you can watch me play them live through the power of the internet. And that's it. That's all the questions, right? So let me just do a couple final thoughts for Patreon, and then we'll go back to answering a couple questions on Twitch, and then we'll call it. This was an experiment, and I think that it mostly was successful. I think I gave some fairly in-depth answers, especially when we switched over to Oxygen Not Included. If you are very upset that it is now something that I am saying aloud instead of typing, I'm very sorry, but it's getting in the way of video production and my own kind of sanity. I think that whatever is lost from the lack of written depth and like attention that I can really pour into it will probably be made up for the fact that it is my voice saying it, right? Like it's like you are hearing my voice speaking to you in answer to your question instead of like instead of just like dry text that you can that has no reference or no inflection or anything that you have to kind of like guess. So I think that it is in some ways better and some ways worse. I think that this was mostly successful though, wouldn't you say, Lily? Like
so.
we got through it.
I think this is preferable to having much shorter answers.
Yeah,
or fewer questions.
So yeah, if it's between this and shorter written answers, I think this is the way to go, and I hope that you agree, because this is almost certainly what we're gonna do, unless every single one of you says to me, I hate this and I would rather have shorter written answers. Okay, so if you want shorter written answers, you all need to get together as a committee and like form a union, the Patreon union, and be like, Joe, we need you to do written answers and we want them to be shorter so you can get more work done, and that's what we want, and that's what you have to do. Okay, so that's how it goes. So we will answer like maybe 3 or 4 more questions, and then we will call it a night with lovely assistant Lily.
Thoughts on Stephen King, genius writer, or weirdo sex pervert?
Is that because of the end of it? Yeah, the end of it is kind of weird. I think that I don't think he's a genius, but he is definitely very, very talented. I think he gets a lot of shit for writing so much. I think that this is generally a thing that happens to a lot of people that are prolific, and they get compared to other creators who aren't prolific. I think Brandon Sanderson gets a little bit of shit for this too, that it's this idea that you can't possibly be as good as this other person because you make content 4 times as fast as they do. You know, like Stephen King and Sanderson are definitely like that in writers. And I think that isn't fair. I think that some people have a much better work ethic. Some people are just naturally got better routines and schedules and they go for it. Does that mean Stephen King is a flawless writer? Absolutely not. No, he doesn't plan enough. He's even said this. He doesn't like planning. He doesn't want to know the ending when he starts. He wants to discover it as he goes. I think that's really flawed, but hey, like that's how he thinks, and I disagree with that strongly, but that it's working out for him. He has written so many books, and every so often he just like procs a crit on his books and he just nails out a fucking banger. So hey, good for him. Seriously, good for him. Like he is obviously like supremely talented. There's no denying that. I just wish that he would plan his books out a little more so they would have better endings, because I don't think he ends his books very well. And that's how I feel about Stephen King. I haven't read every one of his books, but I've read enough to judge him fairly well, and I think he's very good.
Has Clown Town affected your home life?
Clown Town?
That's from Mario, isn't it?
Is it? Was that what you guys were calling?
I think that's what they were calling when you were a clown.
They started calling the meme Clown Town? No, it hasn't. No, nothing's changed. Wait, do you want me to dress up as a clown?
I really don't.
Like after the stream?
I really don't.
No?
You can dress up as other things, but not a clown.
Ooh.
Thoughts on game difficulty length, mastery curves, and game reviews. In my opinion, some games cannot reasonably be reviewed, and that playing through the game itself is a tutorial in a sense. Steven's Sausage Roll is a decent example.
Let me read this again. Thoughts on game difficulty length, mastery curves, and game reviews. In my opinion, some games cannot reasonably be reviewed, and that playing through the game itself is a tutorial in a sense. Your Steven Sausage Roll is a decent example. So I just read it again. Okay. I don't know about that. I think that you have a point, and I think that maybe... Okay, are you saying that some games can't be reviewed in a timely manner, or that they have to be experienced themselves? Maybe? I'm not sure. Like, there are different ways to take that. I think that some games require a specific reviewer, and you need to be in a good mindset, and you need to be familiar with the genre of the game or anything like that. That might be a fair way of saying it. But yeah, I think... Yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about that. I'm getting a little tired now, actually. I'm struggling answering that question. You might be onto something. I'm sorry I can't give you a better answer than that, but yeah.
How did they find you on Discord?
What?
How did they find you on Discord?
How do they find me on Discord?
Yeah.
There's a link that Nightbot likes to say. Can I do it? If I do Discord, will it show up? There you go. There you go. That's Discord. It's open to everybody. How much should enjoyment have a factor in rating a game for a review? I'm going to sneeze again. Excuse me.
Bless you.
What kind of review is that? Is it just Is it a user review, or is it like you're reviewing something for your friends? Then yeah, it should definitely have a big factor. Is it a professional, quote unquote, professional review, and you're trying to judge it more objectively? Then it still has a place, but you should be able to separate yourself from it a little bit, and you should be held to a higher standard. Everyone, well, not everyone, what am I saying? A lot of people seem to think that reviews are only opinions, and that is not strictly true. It contains opinions, but it can't just be only opinions. And I know that sounds stupid, of course they're opinions, but like, no, you can't, like, you have to judge things a little more objectively. You have to judge things as they are instead of what they could be or whatever. And my go-to example is like going into a romantic comedy in the movies and getting really pissed that zombies don't show up to eat everybody because you really wanted to see a zombie movie, and hey, what the fuck is this? I want to see a zombie movie. Why am I seeing Sandra Bullock get laid by some guy that is, you know, like super into her, and they're having problems? Why are they having problems? You know, like, oh, it's romantic and it's funny. I want zombies to come and eat them, which actually, now that I've said it, that's probly fair with Sandra Bullock, you know, being in it, right? But
I still like
but
her,
what
except
I'm
for that one movie.
but what I'm saying is that it's like judging, like, if I went into an RPG, a turn-based RPG, and I was like, what the fuck, why is it in action combat? You know, like, that's bad. And I did that in Darkest Dungeon, but the turn-based combat in Darkest Dungeon is flawed in my opinion. And so maybe I've been guilty of that myself.
Good night to 42 Trinity, who's going to bed.
Good night. So maybe that's something that I've been guilty of myself in the past, but like that's personal enjoyment, right? That's subjective. That's an opinion. That, like, no, if you're gonna review something, you know, like, you have to separate yourself from it. You know, the Prey review that IGN just did, and I'm sorry to pick on IGN because I really shouldn't, because I always do, but like you encountered a tiny little, like so few people are going to encounter this bug, and you are the biggest game review outlet, and you know how rare this bug is. Like, it's common knowledge how rare this bug is, and like, you don't show you didn't show any of your work of how you tried to fix it. Like, was it a corrupt install? Like, how do you know that this is exactly your problem, you know? And it was fixed before the review was published, the bug, I think. And you give it like a 4 out of 10, you know, which on the IGN scale is pretty much a 0, you know? Like, I just feel like you need to be held to a higher standard, but that's probably a controversial opinion with that specific one. But like, yeah, just like, why get like Tim the RPG guy to review Doom? You know what I mean? Like, you can't do that. You know, like, is that review worth something? Absolutely, because he can tell people, hey, I don't like shooters, but, you know, I happen to like this game. Or he can say, I don't like shooters and I didn't like this game. If you don't like shooters like I do, this isn't going to change anything for you. Is that a worthwhile review? Absolutely. But should that be the only review that the big outlet does on a professional level? No, it shouldn't. It shouldn't be, right? That's stupid, you know? Like, should okay, Dark Souls 4 is coming out. Who's never played a Dark Souls before, and you know, like the 18-year-old intern puts up his hand and is like, I've never even played a video game before. Okay, you get to do the review. Like no, like, there needs to be a higher standard, even though that guy's opinion would still be worth something. Absolutely, it would still be worth something. That's not what a professional review should be. You know, that's how I feel about it. But that's surprisingly complicated. How do you feel about hats, beanies, headbands, etc.? Not really big on hats, beanies, and headbands on myself, but I like hats on Lily.
Yeah, I like hats.
Lily looks good in hats. A toque?
A toque? I kind of just bought a toque, actually. That could be classified as a toque.
It's gonna get colder soon.
That's why I got it.
You want to put on our toques, eh?
I don't think my earmuffs are cutting it.
Go to Tim's and get some double coffee, eh? Yeah, get a Timbit, yeah. Ya hoser, yeah.
Adios to Fatal Error 19. Hasta luego.
See you later, guys. Good night. And I think we're done, right? Chat is like slow to a crawl. Is it broken? No. Oh, so people are talking. That's hilarious that you say that, Joe, because I was watching a stream yesterday of an indie game designer playing Dark Souls, and he was raging at it the whole time and crying about what a horrible game it was. And maybe what he's saying is valid to some people. A lot of people. Some people are gonna hate Dark Souls, but yeah, that's that. Should that be the professional review? Probably not. Like, if you can't, it would be like reading a book that you don't even understand and reviewing it. You know, and it's not a problem that you that the book is difficult to understand. It's that you are not experienced enough at reading to understand. The go-to easy option would be that you don't even speak Spanish and you're trying to review a Spanish book. You know, like, what are you doing? You know, or you have
my
like
amateur Spanish.
you have basic Spanish language skills.
So
but
I'm gonna review something.
here you are reviewing a book in Spanish. It's like, what are you doing, right? Like,
Good night, Gauntlet.
absolutely. Have you finished or planned your studio space? If not, can I lend a hand? We haven't even planned or finished it at all. We're gonna wait until we move before we do something like that. I think we'll set up a room that is separate for recording and streaming and everything. Although I think this room has served us quite well so far, right? I think
it's okay.
even during the day with the traffic outside and the kids, like sometimes you can hear it, but it's fairly quiet in here. I don't know why it's quieter in here than it is in the living room. Yeah. Okay, I think we're done, guys. I think we're done, guys and girls. I think we're done. Thank you for stopping by. Sorry that it was an impromptu stream out of nowhere. And again, if you're a patron that listened to the whole thing, I hope you're okay with this new format. I think it will work out well.
I hope they are. I hope no one's upset about it.
I hope so too, because this just has to happen. Last question, very important. Boxers or briefs? Boxers all the way. Boxers all the way. All the way boxers.
Thanks for an awesome stream, Joe and Lily. Keep up your awesome videos. I really enjoy your critiques. They're extremely well made, and you should be proud. Oh, and a toque is like a beanie, kind of. It's like a tight hat.
Yeah, Google Toque. That's a toque.
It's a big Canadian hat.
It's a Canadian hat. It's a toque. Yeah. Anyway, thanks for having us, ho. I think he meant to type Joe, and he said ho.
Glad it wasn't born.
Oh shit! I shouldn't laugh that hard. I might wake up the kids. All right. See you later, guys.
Good night.